Chapter 2587. Although the Tianqing Gate was huge, Night Sorrow and the others were able to return quickly with the help of the Skycloud shuttle. Night Sorrow, Zhuangqing, and the Divine King discussed their strategy. They began to set up a trap array around the Tianyun School's camp. He had set up this array for Lu Qingyuan and the others before. Night Sorrow took out the Crimson Golden Dragon insignia from Wen Zhangping and used it as the core of the array. The trapping array setup might not have much of an effect on godly monarchs, but a godly lord would definitely become a turtle in a jar. Even a divine lord like Lu Qingyuan would be greatly affected. All right. Everything is set up. Half of the Tianyun School's forces are here. We should be able to resist the Tianqing Gate. Night Sorrow finished setting up the array and said, "Now that the array is set up, let's celebrate today's victory. With 3 people in the top 8, I believe that the champion of the Feather God group will be our Tianyun School. Yes, we'll deal with whatever comes our way. We've prepared everything. Now, let's drink and celebrate." Lu Qingyuan ordered the accompanying cooks to prepare food and wine while the others gathered in the courtyard. They set up the tables and chairs and prepared to celebrate in the open air. The Tianyun School's victory in the 7-sect tournament could be traced back to Mu Baiyu's era. He was already one of the best divine lords. Today's victory had to be celebrated no matter what. First of all, I would like to thank the 6 disciples of the Feather God group. It was because of you that our Tianyun School was able to take first place in the Feather God group tournament. Let me give you a toast. After the wine and dishes were prepared, Lu Qingyuan, who was leading the team, raised his glass and said, "Haha, Elder Lu, I'm the same as Yun Tengfei. We're all riding on the coattails of victory. Let's toast to Night Sorrow, Yan Zhang, Senior Ho, and Si Kongxiang." Mei Ruoxue smiled and raised her cup. "It's all the same. To all of you. Also, the disciples of the High Gods group, you have to work hard too." Lu Qingyuan drank the wine and looked at Mu Qingyu. "Mu Qingyu, you're Mu Baiyu's younger brother. You've always lived in his shadow. I know this, but you have your own life. This sect tournament is your chance to prove yourself. With Night Sorrow here, you have to make the most of it." "Elder, I'll do my best. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to lead the team to the first place, but this time, even if I have to risk my life, I won't let the Tianyun clan be at the bottom again. Senior brother Qingyu, once the competition is over, I'll choose to break through to the paramount god level. I'll help you then." Mu Qingyu's Divine King of Feather God Group was the Feather God Group's results. Although he definitely wouldn't be as strong as the Divine Feather Clan after breaking through, he definitely wouldn't be too weak, and he was confident that he could help the Tianyun clan get rid of the embarrassment of being at the bottom. With Mu Qingyu's words, I can rest assured. Mu Qingyu nodded at Yishang and raised his cup in a toast. "Let's do our best," Night Sorrow said to Mu Qingyu before looking at Yan Zhang and Ho Qingshan. "We've already won the sect tournament. We still have to work hard for our individual results. Here's to you." "Hee, you'll definitely be first in the individual results." Ho Qingshan smiled. "I'm already satisfied with being in the top 8. It's my first time participating in the 7-sect grand competition, and I'm already satisfied to be able to enter the top 8. Yan Zheng's face revealed a rare smile. Mei Ruoxue, who was good at singing and dancing, took out her zither and played a song. The atmosphere became even more lively. Unknowingly, 6 to 8 hours had passed. It was already midnight, and the sky was completely dark. Everyone pretended to return to their rooms, but they were all on high alert. Especially Zhuangqing, the Divine King, and the others in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact. They were all ready to attack. "They're here. There's a total of 7 people. A Divine King and 6 are gods, but I can't determine their cultivation level." After about 2 hours, Night Sorrow transmitted a message to everyone. He had discovered 7 people in black through the array he had set up. "Stay calm. As long as it's not the Divine King, everything will be fine." Zhuangqing, the Divine King, who had already come out of Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, transmitted a message to Night Sorrow. As for the disciples below the Sir God realm, except for Night Sorrow, they had all been kept in the spatial artifact. "They're here." Night Sorrow continued to remind everyone. At this moment, Zhuangqing, the Divine King, asked, "Is the image crystal set up?" "It's set up very secretly. It shouldn't be discovered. Night Sorrow nodded in response. At this moment the Divine King who had barged into the courtyard, said coldly, "People of Tianyun School, hand over Night Sorrow. Otherwise I, the Divine King, will kill all of you." "Who are you? Do you really think the Tianyun School is easy to bully?" Lu Qingyuan was the first to step forward. "You can't stop me. Hurry up and hand over Yi Shang. Otherwise, everyone here today will die." The masked black-clothed Divine King threatened with killing intent. Grand Supreme Zhuang, what's his cultivation level? At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was beside Zhuang Qing, asked. Zhuang Qing, the Divine King, said with a relaxed expression, "Don't worry. He's just a low-level Divine King, so he should be weaker than me. These shrimps won't be able to do anything." "You were sent by the Gate Master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qing Feng, to deal with me?" Night Sorrow slowly walked out of the room. In terms of strength, he had the upper hand, and with the support of the trapping array, the other party was like a turtle in a jar. "Yes, so what? So what if I'm not? Today, your cultivation will definitely be crippled. Hurry up and hand over the Divine Talisman, and I, the Divine King, will spare you some pain." The masked, black-clothed Divine King didn't know that the Divine King was in Tianyun School. He continued to threaten. "Lin Pingzi, so it's you. Your Tianqing Gate sent the Divine King to deal with my Tianyun School's feather god. Can you be any more shameless?" After discovering the identity of the newcomer, the Divine King, Zhuang Qing, came out of the room, no longer concealing his aura. "Zhuang Qing, I didn't expect you to come too." Seeing Zhuang Qing come out of the room, Lin Pingzi didn't panic at all. He sneered. "Zhuang Qing, don't forget where you are now. If you dare to stop me from destroying his cultivation today, you will never be able to go back to Tianyun School." "How arrogant. It doesn't matter if I go back or not. Today, I will take you down first, you shameless bastard." As a godly king, Zhuang Qing was infuriated at being threatened in such a manner. He shouted, "Attack!" The number of masters from Tianqing Gate was limited. The Cloud Sky sect didn't let Lu Qingyuan's Space Dharma artifact show up. Zhuang Qing took Night Sorrow, Lu Qingyuan, and 10 other law-enforcing elders to fight with the other party. "Zhuang Qing, how dare you? Don't forget that your Tianyun School's Gate Master is missing. No one can resist Gate Master Tan's power anymore." Seeing Zhuang Qing attack, Lin Pingzi immediately frowned. He was afraid that if things got out of hand, it would alert the other sections. Although Tianqing Gate was shameless enough, he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. "Is this why you bully my Tianyun School?" Zhuang Qing asked coldly. Then he said firmly, "Do it." Chapter 2588. Grand Elder Zhuang, the trapping array has been activated. The senior immortals will be suppressed by at least 30 to 40% and their speed will be halved. Night Sorrow reminded Zhuang Qing and the Divine King of the trapping array. Hearing the news, the Divine King of Zhuang Qing praised, "Great! Today's battle will be a piece of cake for us." At the same time, he attacked the Divine King of Tianqing Gate, Lin Pingzi. "Let's take down their senior immortals." Lu Qingyuan shouted and led 10 deacon elders to attack the 6 senior immortals of Tianqing Gate. Under the suppression of Night Sorrow's trapping array, the 6 senior immortals of Tianqing Gate soon realized that something was wrong. Liang Junhua, an elder of Tianqing Gate, immediately shouted, "Grand Elder Lin. Not good. There is a trapping array here. Our strength is severely suppressed." In fact, he was trying to tell Lin Pingzi that they were no match for him. However, he couldn't say that in front of the Tianyun School. "I have sensed it. Don't be afraid. This is Tianqing Gate. Our backup will be here soon." Lin Pingzi, who was as strong as Zhuang Qing, was fighting with all his strength. He couldn't take care of Liang Junhua and the others, but he crushed a soul crystal in his hand. Tianqing Gate is so shameless. Qingyuan, end this quickly and take all of them as hostages. Also, send someone to inform the other sects and let them see the true colors of Tianqing Gate. Seeing Lin Pingzi crush the soul crystal, the Divine King of Zhuang Qing frowned. They were in Tianqing Gate now. If another Divine King came, things would be very troublesome. Night Sorrow, inform the Starry Sky Pavilion and the Tianxian sect. If their people appeared, the Clear Sky Society would definitely have scruples. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to solve today's crisis. Lu Qingyuan immediately transmitted his voice. He knew that Night Sorrow had a good relationship with these two sections. As for Tianxian School, Heavenly Martial Pavilion, Soaring Heaven Sect, and Tianqing Gate, there was no need to inform them. Elder Lu, I think that since they've decided to make a move, they must have isolated the area we're in. It's impossible for them to notify the other sections. What we need to do now is to capture the people from Tianqing Gate and use them to threaten them. Night Sorrow said. Tianqing Gate was very strong, but in terms of background, the Divine King should not have many. If they could take down Lin Pingce and the 6 Divine Monarch-level elders, then the matter would be easily resolved. If he rashly went out to report, it was very likely that he would be caught immediately. The gains would not make up for the losses. Yes, what you said makes sense. It's this elder who didn't consider it thoroughly. But the Divine King is not easy to capture. We have to control the other party's divine monarchs. Lu Qingyuan replied to Night Sorrow, then used a secret technique to increase his strength and continued to fight with the Tianqing Gate elders. How come the other party's strength has been weakened so much? My sect's elders can't take them down quickly. However, after watching for a while, Night Sorrow knew that the situation was not good. The Tianyun School's law enforcement elders seemed to be weaker than the other party. They could only suppress the other party in the confinement array, but it would be difficult to capture them quickly. As for the elders in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, it involved the problem of returning home and the stability of the Tianyun School's rear. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they could not be exposed. Got it. Although there's a gap in strength between me and these half-step Divine King, I can still see the difference in strength. But I can use the Eye of the Mirage Dragon to warn the other elders. Night Sorrow, who was observing the battle, activated the Eye of the Mirage Dragon and paid attention to the Tianqing Gate elders' moves. Then, he sent a message to the Tianyun School's law enforcement elders. Under his command, the Tianyun School's elders' combat strength increased by a large margin. Soon, they captured 3 of the other party's elders alive. Although the remaining 3 Tianqing Gate elders were still resisting, they were already at the end of their rope. Night Sorrow, you're really a peerless genius. After controlling the battle of the Divine Monarchs, Lu Qingyuan immediately sent a message to Night Sorrow and praised him. Of course, he could not shout and expose Night Sorrow's ability. Oh no, I can't watch the battle anymore. Otherwise, I might break through to the High God stage immediately. If I do, no one will be able to suppress Wu Yu in the 7 Sects tournament. At this time, Night Sorrow sent a message to Lu Qingyuan. He found that his understanding of Tao had increased rapidly after watching the battle of the half-step Divine King. If he continued watching, he would immediately face the divine tribulation. Don't worry. Now that we have the situation under control, you just need to stay aside and hide. Lu Qingyuan, who had already captured 6 of the other party's elders, said with a hint of confidence. It seemed that after Night Sorrow's appearance, everything in the Tianyun School had been going smoothly. At this moment, the battle between the Divine King and Lin Pingce had reached its climax. The 2 of them were evenly matched. The momentum of their battle was completely incomparable to that of a divine monarch. Elder Lu, what should we do? Should we lend a hand? Elder Mei of the Tianyun School asked worriedly. Seeing that the battle between the Divine King and Lin Pingce was very intense and neither of them could do anything to the other, Elder Mei of the Tianyun School asked. Help. Although facing the real Divine King, we won't be able to do anything if we attack him one by one. However, a large number of ants can kill an elephant. I don't believe that a dozen of us won't be able to do anything to him. The 6 Divine Monarch Elders of the Tianqing Gate were imprisoned in the spatial Dharma artifact. Lu Qingyuan shouted, Everyone, take out your best skills. Use all your divine weapons and secret arts on Lin Pingce. We will do our best. Elder Mei and the others began to take elixirs that could temporarily increase their strength after hearing the order. They also used their secret arts and began to bombard Lin Pingce in the battle. Even Night Sorrow, who had been watching the battle from the sidelines, took out his Samsara halberd and used the 33 Heavens battle secret art. He unleashed Inferno demons subduing Lin Pingce, enveloping him in flames. Everyone from the Tianyun school knew that if they couldn't take down Lin Pingce before the reinforcements from the Tianqing Gate arrived, they would have less bargaining chips to negotiate with the other party. Given Tan Qingfeng's personality, he would definitely think that Night Sorrow was more valuable than the 6 divine monarch elders. He might not even care about their lives. Zhuangqing. I didn't expect the Tianyun school to be so shameless. More than a dozen people are attacking the Divine King together. Lin Pingce, who had been suppressed in an instant, cursed furiously. If Zhuangqing hadn't been holding him back, he would have been able to kill a divine monarch in one move. However, he couldn't care less now. He could only take the attacks of the divine monarchs head-on. Although these attacks weren't fatal, they made him feel very uncomfortable. You are the shameless ones. As the saying goes, a visitor is a guest. The Tianqing Gate arranged for the Tianyun school to suffer in such a humiliating courtyard. You even launched a series of sneak attacks. Is this what a human being would do? From the gate master to the disciples of the Tianqing Gate, you are all beasts. We, the Tianyun clan, will not show you any respect. Zhuangqing, who had suppressed Lin Pingce, had already started to use his secret arts to raise his strength to its peak. Chapter 2589. Ha ha ha. The sect leader will be here soon. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant. Lin Pingce calmed down when he heard the sound of wind, which proved that the people of Tianqing Gate were very close. He felt that he could hold on for a while. At this time, the Divine King of Zhuangqing and the others all looked serious. It was too difficult to take down the Divine King in a few seconds. However, if they couldn't take down Lin Pingce, things would be difficult when the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, arrived. By now, everyone could already see that the people of the Clear Sky Gate did not have any sense of propriety, justice, integrity, or honor. They would do anything that was out of line. Elders, burn your blood essence and take him down. At this time, Night Sorrow suddenly started to burn his blood essence. He used the body forging formula that he hadn't used for a long time to increase his strength to the maximum. He took out the red golden dragon seal from the trapping formation and threw it at Lin Pingce. At the same time, he used the divine origin dragon lock spell. Yes. Elders of the Tianyun clan, listen up, burn your blood essence and swear to take down Lin Pingce within 3 breaths. After Night Sorrow shouted, the Divine King of Zhuangqing was shocked. This little guy was so decisive. He would definitely become a great person in the future. As the Grand Elder of Tianyun School, the Divine King of Zhuangqing was naturally experienced. Without any hesitation, he burned his blood essence and took a desperate stance. Take down Lin Pingce. The other elders of the Tianyun clan followed suit and shouted. Their shouts were earth-shattering. If it weren't for the concealment formation of Tianqing Gate, the people of other sects would have heard them. Damn it! Why do the people of Tianyun School seem different? Lin Pingce panicked when he saw so many people burning their blood essence at the same time for him. At this moment, he was somewhat blaming his sect's informants. If he had known that the Divine King had come to Tianyun School, he would definitely have brought more helpers and wouldn't have ended up in such a situation. Without hesitation, Lin Pingce roared, "Don't think that only Tianyun School's people are willing to risk their lives. I, Lin Pingce, the Divine King of this generation, am not a pushover." Roaring, he began to burn the Divine King's blood essence and went all out. Red Golden Dragon Rune, self-destruct. Night Sorrow's eyes had already turned red from killing. He knew that time waited for no one. If he couldn't take down Lin Pingce within a few breaths of time, then this matter wouldn't be easy to resolve. He made a prompt decision and made the Crimson Golden Dragon Rune self-destruct to deal a blow to his opponent. Good idea. Phoenix Blood Essence Gold Sword, self-destruct. At the critical moment, seeing that Night Sorrow had chosen to detonate the divine weapon, the Divine King of Zhuangqing made up his mind and detonated the long sword that had accompanied him for several reincarnations. Damn it! Tianyun School's people are all F***king lunatics. Lin Pingce cursed loudly. How could he have imagined that Zhuangqing would be so decisive as to detonate the divine weapon that he had carried with him for so many years? Lin Pingce, who hadn't reacted in time, was immediately hit and seriously injured. Lin Pingce, let's see how you resist. After seriously injuring Lin Pingce, Zhuangqing roared, his aura as shocking as a dragon. At the same time, The other elders of Tianyun School also went all out and detonated their divine weapons one after another. After being bombarded by them, there was no way Lin Pingce wouldn't lose. Soon, he was under Zhuang Qing's control. Very good. I am very gratified by everyone's cohesiveness today. Especially Knight Sorrow, who made a prompt decision and reacted more decisively than I, the divine king of Zhuang Qing. He deserves to be praised. After getting Lin Pingce under control, the divine king of Zhuang Qing heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that Tianyun School now had a bargaining chip to negotiate with Tianqing Gate. Although Tianqing Gate was very powerful now, the divine king of Tianqing Gate was definitely an important figure in the sect. They couldn't abandon him. Divine King Zhuang, you flatter me. Knight Sorrow just did what he should. After all, this happened because of me. If I didn't do something, I would feel uneasy. Knight Sorrow replied humbly. Very good. You are neither arrogant nor rash. You are a man who will achieve great things. The divine king of Zhuang Qing praised. Suddenly he shouted, Friends from Tianqing Gate, since you are here, show yourself. Zhuang Qing, I didn't expect you to leave Tianyun School and come to Tianqing Gate. The first person to arrive at Tianqing Gate was the sect leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng. He was still a little late. Lin Pingce had already been captured, which put them in a passive position. Let's cut the crap. The divine king of Zhuang Qing shouted coldly. Now that Lin Pingce is in my hands, if you do anything, I will kill him without hesitation. I can choose not to do anything, but Knight Sorrow must return the divine talisman that he took from Shenyuan Changye. Tan Qingfeng, who was floating in the air, was full of murderous intent. His aura was even more terrifying than the divine king of Zhuang Qing. Why should I give you the spoils of war that I obtained from the battle? Suppressed by Tan Qingfeng's divine realm, Knight Sorrow found it difficult to speak. However, he still shouted. Do you know who refined that thing? How dare an ant like you take it for yourself? Tan Qingfeng stared at Knight Sorrow with a murderous look as he said this word by word. No matter whose thing it is, since it was used to harm me, don't even think about taking it back. Knight Sorrow, who was suppressed by Tan Qingfeng's divine realm, found it difficult to breathe. However, he still responded loudly. Bastard! I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Do you really think that I can't do anything to you just because you have Grand Elder Lin under control? Tan Qingfeng roared angrily when he saw that the Grand Elder had been captured. He said coldly, That thing was refined by the Dark Moon ruler. Do you think the Tianyun School can take it? Tan Qingfeng, don't forget that the Tianyun School graduated from the Tianyun School. Aren't you afraid that he will be angry if you use the Dark Moon ruler to threaten the Tianyun School? Zhuang Qing's divine king shouted angrily when he heard Tan Qingfeng's words. The legend of the Tianyun School named Zhen Yi was the current #1 expert of the divine realm, the Tianyun School. The Tianyun School is very strong, but he has long since established his own faction. Why would he bother with trash like you? Otherwise, why wouldn't he appear when the Tianyun School is being suppressed to this extent? Tan Qingfeng sneered. As for the Dark Moon ruler's illusory crystal, I have one here. Although your sects are trash, you haven't gone too far. The Tianyun School isn't going to invite the Tianyun School over. Zhuang Qing glared. When he mentioned the Tianyun School's legend of the Tianyun School, his face was full of reverence. So the legend of Zhen Yi is the #1 expert of the divine realm, the Tianyun School. Knight Sorrow was shocked when he heard the divine king's words. He hadn't expected this at all. Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the others in the spatial artifact were also shocked. Humph. It's your problem if you don't invite him. Let's see how you deal with the Dark Moon ruler today. Tan Qingfeng sneered and crushed the sovereign crystal in his hand. Chapter 2590. A ruler couldn't be offended. This was a truth that everyone in the God realm knew. After summoning the projection of the Dark Moon ruler, Tan Qingfeng smiled proudly. He bowed and said, Lord Ruler, the divine talisman you created is in the hands of Tianyun School's Knight Sorrow. Who is Knight Sorrow? The face of the summoned sovereign phantom could not be seen clearly. One could only barely make out its silhouette, but it gave off a powerful pressure. I am Knight Sorrow. The projection of the Dark Moon ruler didn't release his divine domain, so Knight Sorrow opened his mouth to reply. The expressions of the other Tianyun school members all changed. In front of a ruler, there was nothing they could do, let alone having Lin Pingzi as a hostage. Even the divine King Zhuangqing had no choice but to lower his head. Hand over the divine talisman I created, the Dark Moon ruler said coldly. The projection of the Dark Moon ruler said coldly. His voice wasn't particularly loud, but it was deafening to Knight Sorrow's ears. However, Knight Sorrow clenched his teeth and said stubbornly, "Why should I hand over the spoils of war I obtained through battle?" "Because I'm a ruler. Isn't that enough?" A murderous look appeared on the Dark Moon ruler's face. The faces of the Tianyun school members all changed. The divine King Zhuangqing hurriedly tried to persuade Knight Sorrow. "A ruler can't be offended. Hand over the divine talisman. You must know that steel breaks easily." He was afraid that the projection would kill Knight Sorrow in a fit of rage. If that happened, the Tianyun school would lose a peerless genius. Does a ruler who transcends all living things think he can be so unreasonable? Faced with the threat of the Dark Moon ruler and the divine King Zhuangqing's persuasion, Knight Sorrow's brows revealed a trace of defiance. When he'd first arrived in the God realm, he'd made a concession for the safety of his family. After that, he'd vowed that no matter what kind of existence he faced, as long as they weren't reasonable, he wouldn't yield. "Aunt, this ruler admires your courage. However, the sovereign is not to be offended. You are unyielding in front of me." There was only one outcome, and that was the complete annihilation of their souls. Dang! All of a sudden, the illusory figure of ruler Dark Moon gathered his divine origin energy and sent a palm strike at Knight Sorrow. This palm was a Dominator-level attack. Everyone from the Tianyun school was shocked. They knew that they couldn't stop this attack. A mighty sovereign actually dared to attack a mere feather god. Dark Moon, don't you feel ashamed? At this moment, the divine talisman in Knight Sorrow's hand was suddenly activated and transformed into the master of sound playing the zither. Faced with the palm strike of Hegemon Dark Moon, Hegemon Clear Sound's illusory figure countered with a zither, successfully neutralizing the attack. Hegemon Clear Sound, what is the meaning of this? You want to stop me for an ant? The voice of the Dark Moon ruler's phantom dropped to the freezing point. Although he was only a phantom, he represented the face of the Dark Moon ruler. He was furious that he hadn't been able to kill a feather god with one strike. "I will save his life." Hegemon Clear Sound's voice was somewhat ethereal, but her words were filled with dominance. Damn it! How can an ant like him be favored by Hegemon Clear Sound? Upon seeing Hegemon Clear Sound appear, Tan Qingfeng's expression was the same as the Tianyun school's. The Dark Moon ruler's phantom was just as angry. He snorted coldly. "You can save his life, but you must make him hand over the talisman I refined." "The talisman you refined is in my hands. If you want it back, find my true body and fight it out." Although Hegemon Clear Sound was a woman, she was extremely domineering in front of the Dark Moon ruler. As expected of a sovereign. This is a true example of a woman not losing out to a man. Within his spatial artifact, Si Kongxiang was on the verge of tears when he saw how domineering Hegemon Clear Sound was. Mei Ruoshue's eyes were also filled with reverence. When the Dark Moon ruler's phantom had appeared, their hearts had been in their throats for Knight Sorrow. They hadn't expected Hegemon Clear Sound to appear, and the Dark Moon ruler's aura immediately weakened. "Good, very good. It seems you want to keep protecting him. There will be a battle between you and me." The Dark Moon ruler didn't have the confidence to win against Hegemon Clear Sound. He scolded her coldly, then disappeared in a flash. "If there's going to be a battle, why are you leaving?" After the Dark Moon ruler's phantom left, Hegemon Clear Sound's phantom continued to pluck the strings of her zither, sending out multiple sound waves into the air. Tan Qingfeng of Tianqing Gate didn't even dare to breathe loudly when he saw this scene. He was afraid that Hegemon Clear Sound would settle accounts with him for Knight Sorrow. "Those who have nothing to do with this, disperse." After the Dark Moon ruler's phantom disappeared, Hegemon Clear Sound ordered Tan Qingfeng and the others to retreat. She looked at Knight Sorrow and said, "You have outstanding talent and are neither servile nor overbearing. In the future, you will definitely become a dragon among men. My appearance today means that Tianqing Gate's crisis has been resolved. You can participate in the 7 sect tournament in peace." Thank you for saving my life, He Gemin Clear Sound. Night Sorrow wanted to bow and thank her for saving his life. He Gemin Clear Sound stopped him. There's no need for that. Just remember this kindness. After saying that, her figure disappeared into the void of space. After she left, everyone felt their breathing become much easier. The might of a Hegemon made it difficult for them to calm down. Elder Zhuang, the crisis has been resolved. How do you think we should deal with Lin Pingzi? After Hegemon Clear Sound left, Lu Qingyuan immediately asked the Divine King of Zhuangqing. Night Sorrow, how do you think we should deal with them? The Divine King of Zhuangqing didn't answer directly. Instead, he looked at Night Sorrow. He could tell that even the lofty Hegemon Clear Sound didn't treat Night Sorrow as a junior. Otherwise, she wouldn't have stopped him from bowing. This was a very clear problem. I think they can avoid death, but they can't escape punishment. Leave behind everything they have and let them go. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow replied. At this time, everyone else in Tianyun School was extremely excited because of the Hegemon's appearance. Only Night Sorrow calmed down completely after a moment of excitement. The Hegemon's strength was also achieved step by step. What he needed to do was take it one step at a time. Okay. Then we'll deal with it that way. After the Divine King of Zhuangqing sought Night Sorrow's opinion, he nodded and agreed. When the sky brightened, he indeed left behind everything on Lin Pingzi and the others, then let them go. However, he left them very thoroughly. Everyone was stripped naked, down to their underwear, and left Tianyun School's encampment naked. One by one, they used their strongest movement techniques and left as fast as they could. Haha, awesome. I'm sure after this incident, Tianqing Gate won't dare to scheme against us again. The next day, Lu Qingyuan said in a carefree mood during dinner. Hegemon Clear Sound is truly peerless. Si Kongxiang, who had eaten a mouthful of porridge, couldn't help but praise. Everyone else chimed in and began to discuss. At this moment, Night Sorrow reminded everyone, let's not talk about the Hegemon too much, lest we say the wrong thing and be tainted by karma. That makes sense. Then let's prepare for the next round of the Feather God Group tournament. A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Qingyuan's face. He was truly in a good mood after this 7-sect tournament. If I meet Su Yan after defeating Wuyo, I'll let her win. I hope you don't mind. Night Sorrow explained, I'm not doing this to curry favor with Hegemon Clear Sound. I owe my life to Su Yan. Regardless of whether or not it was Hegemon Clear Sound's will, she was the one who gave me the talisman. Everyone can understand. Furthermore, Tianyun School has already taken first place in the 7-sect tournament. It doesn't matter if we don't take first place. Lu Qingyuan nodded. Everyone else also expressed their understanding. I wonder what the results of today's draw will be. On the day of the quarterfinals, everyone from Tianyun School sat in their seats and waited. As usual, Lu Qingyuan went to participate in the draw. Chapter 2591. No matter how bold they were, they would never have guessed that Night Sorrow would be matched against Wu Yu. The host of the 7-sect tournament, Liang Shijun, the deputy gate master of the Tianqing Gate, announced the names of the 4 matches. Everyone began to discuss it. They all felt that this was an early fight for the championship. Wu Yu was the undisputed king of the Divine Feather Realm. He had been on the Divine Feather list for many years. Night Sorrow was a legend who had risen recently. He was as strong as Wu Yu. He had challenged the top 3 experts in public, but Wu Yu and the others didn't accept the challenge. Now that these 2 experts were about to meet in the 7-sect tournament, everyone's attention was on them. Ha ha ha. This Wu Yu is really unlucky. He's going to meet Brother Yi in the quarterfinals. Looks like this defending champion won't even be able to enter the top 4 this time. Si Kongxiang was the first to laugh when he heard the names of the matches from Tianyun School. In his opinion, Wu Yu was definitely no match for Night Sorrow. It was sad that they were matched against each other. Night Sorrow, are you sure you can beat Wu Yu? As a girl, Mei Ruoxue was more reserved. She asked seriously. Wu Yu has been on the top of the Divine Feather list for a long time. He must be very strong. Also, he must have cultivated for much longer than me. He must have more tricks up his sleeve. Night Sorrow analyzed Wu Yu's advantages rationally. He then said confidently, However, I don't have any shortcomings in the divine feather realm. I shouldn't be afraid of anyone. Yi Shang's words were not baseless confidence. Whether it was the strength of his body, divine yuan energy, soul power, elemental affinity, or divine artifact, he was an overwhelming existence in the divine feather realm. Wu Yu might be outstanding in one or two aspects, but he couldn't be so well-rounded. If he had such a strong foundation, he would have become a supreme god a long time ago. There was no need for him to stay in the divine feather realm and waste time. Haha. Brother Ye's victory was inevitable. Think about it for a moment. Even He Gemin Clear Sound thinks highly of someone. How could he possibly lose to someone on the same level as him? Si Kongxiang was completely optimistic about Night Sorrow's victory. In his opinion, a person with the aura of a ruler would definitely be invincible within the same realm. Let's see if Wu Yu will use any underhanded methods. If he cheats like Shenyuan Changya, he'll definitely be hard to deal with. Night Sorrow's first two matches were not smooth sailing, and Ho Qingshan was worried that he would encounter Wu Yu in a similar situation. At this moment, the usually reserved Yan Zhang suddenly smiled and said, "Senior brother Ho, I think you should pay attention to our duel first." It turned out that the second group's match was a civil war between Tianyun school students. Yan Zheng versus Ho Qingshan. Ho Qingshan had actually met the students of Tianyun school twice in a row. What's there to be concerned about? I'm telling you, don't go easy on me again. Otherwise, I'll get angry with you. Ho Qingshan had yet to recover from the backlash of forcefully using his bloodline ability. He immediately reprimanded Yan Zhang after hearing his words. Si Kongxiang had already gone easy on him, allowing him to fulfill his dream of entering the top 8 in the 7-sec tournament. If Yan Zhang went easy on him again, he would not be able to face him. "All right, we'll see." Yan Zhang replied and did not say anything else. As for the other two matches, it was Shangshu Yan versus Yan Jifei, and Ao Qingsong versus Wan Tianhe. These two matches were very interesting to watch. Shangshu Yan of the Sky Immortal Sect was ranked second on the Feather God list. Yan Jifei of the Sky Martial Pavilion used to be ranked third, but he had fallen to ninth after being defeated by Night Sorrow. The two of them were only one rank apart. It was hard to say who would win if they fought. Ao Qingsong versus Wan Tianhe were ranked 4th and 5th on the Feather God list respectively. They were also only one rank apart. Their match was very suspenseful. Everyone, prepare yourselves. Those who are going to fight, go up. Those who are going to watch, quickly find your seats. After Lu Qingyuan returned, he explained to everyone. He then looked at the three people who were going to fight and said, "Night Sorrow, do your best. As for the two of you, go and play." "Elder Lu, what do you mean play? One of us will enter the top 4 of the 7-sec tournament." Hearing this, Yan Zhang replied jokingly, "No matter who advances, you will be the easiest person to advance to the top 4 in the history of the 7-sec tournament. To be honest, this is the disadvantage of the arena mode. Only the experiential mode can truly train people." Lu Qingyuan took advantage of the arena mode, but he did not forget to complain about the rules. "If there's nothing else, I'm going to fight." Yi Shan smiled as he looked at the crowd. Then, he slowly flew towards arena number 1. When Night Sorrow's figure slowly landed in the center of arena number 1, the referee was already in place. The spectator seats were also full, but Wu Yu had yet to arrive. Wu Yu is so arrogant. After waiting for about 15 minutes, the other matches had already begun, but Wu Yu had yet to appear. Night Sorrow was still waiting calmly. Si Kongxiang, who was watching the match, could not help but complain. Could it be that he thinks he can't beat Night Sorrow, so he chose to avoid the battle? Mei Ruoxue, who was beside Si Kongxiang, said faintly, "I don't think so. How embarrassing would that be?" Si Kongxiang was speechless. If Wu Yu chose to avoid the battle, he would definitely be so embarrassed in the Cloud Fairy continent that he would not be able to raise his head. He's here. What a big card. However, the bigger the spectacle, the more embarrassed he will be. Just as the two of them were talking, a war chariot pulled by 9 Sir God-level flood dragons suddenly appeared in the void. The main character of this match, Wu Yu, was on the war chariot. Si Kongxiang could not help but complain when he saw Wu Yu's extravagant display. "Night Sorrow. Today is not only the day you and I fight, but also the day you die. Prepare to die. Wu Yu's arrogant voice could be heard when the war chariot was still some distance away from the arena. Senior brother Wu Yu is invincible in the Feather God level. Senior brother Wu Yu killed Knight Sorrow and defended the throne of the Feather God list. When Wu Yu appeared, many disciples watching the match at Tianqing Gate cheered wildly. They looked as if they were welcoming an invincible god of war. In fact, that was indeed the case. Wu Yu had never tasted defeat in his entire life. What? Are you so scared that you don't dare to speak? Wu Yu, who was controlling the war chariot and flying slowly above the arena, asked when he saw that Knight Sorrow did not respond. I don't have much to say to the dead. Yi Shang, who was looking at Worryless, was expressionless. His voice was also not loud. However, Wu Yu was so angry that his veins bulged. He sneered and said, I changed my mind. I won't kill you today. Instead, I will make you my slave forever. You are very confident. Come, let me see how strong you are, the number one on the Feather God list. Make your move. Knight Sorrow looked at Wu Yu and said, There is no need for me to deal with you personally. Sending my slave is enough. Go tear him apart. Chapter 2592. What? You can use this method in the 7-sec tournament? That's too shameless. Seeing that Wu Yu controlled the 9 Divine Lord Flood Dragons to attack Knight Sorrow, everyone from Tianyun School was furious. What do you know? This is a reasonable use of the rules. The 9 Flood Dragons are all puppets under my control. Why can't I use them against my opponent? Wu Yu, who was floating in the air, seemed to be able to guess the doubts in everyone's hearts. He sneered. You can control 9 Divine Lord Flood Dragon puppets by yourself. It seems that your divine soul is very powerful. Seeing that the 9 Flood Dragons were shooting wind, fire, thunder and lightning at him, Knight Sorrow praised Wu Yu and then used the Void Extreme Shadow Body to hide. At the same time, he took out the Heavenly Samsara Halberd and used the Fiery Demon Subduing Flames to dye the space around the arena red. Oh woo! The Flood Dragons that were burned by the flames flew up into the air. The flames that were stained with the Phoenix blood made the Flood Dragons very uncomfortable, so they could only choose to retreat temporarily. At the same time, Knight Sorrow, who was holding the Heavenly Samsara Halberd, chased after them and used the forbidden 10 spears. 9 of the 10 spears were aimed at the low-level Divine Lord Flood Dragons, and the last spear was aimed at Wu Yu's forehead. Knight Sorrow, you're brave. Good job. Lu Qingyuan shouted excitedly when he saw that Knight Sorrow was still so strong in the face of the 9 Divine Lord Flood Dragons and Wu Yu. Si Kongxiang also exclaimed, he really has an invincible aura. The other people from Tianyun School were also very excited. In fact, they were not the only ones. The other spectators were also stunned by Yi Shang's valiant display. Who would have thought that he, a feather god, could face 9 Divine Lord Flood Dragons alone without being defeated? This was the strength of a monster. Wu Yu, who was controlling the Flood Dragons, looked a little gloomy. 6 Directions Godly Ruler. In the face of Knight Sorrow's Heavenly Samsara Halberd, he let out a loud shout and summoned a ruler-shaped divine weapon to meet Knight Sorrow's spear head-on. Boom! After the two collided, the void immediately exploded, and the entire mountain shook. The 9 Flood Dragons that faced Knight Sorrow's 9 spears each executed their own ultimate techniques. Every time they clashed, it felt like the ground was shaking. Is this still a battle between feather gods? The power of the battle made Liang Shijun, the deputy leader of Tianqing Gate, exclaim in surprise. This battle seemed to be completely at the Divine Lord level. This is indeed a battle between 2 peerless geniuses. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have given Wu Yu the 9-dragon war chariot. I would have given him an even more powerful divine weapon. This Knight Sorrow has already exceeded my expectations. Fan Xianyun, the other Grand Supreme Elder of Tianqing Gate, sighed regretfully. In fact, it wasn't Wu Yu's powerful spiritual soul that allowed him to control the 9 Divine Lord level Flood Dragons. It was the 9-dragon war chariot that allowed him to control the 9 Flood Dragons. This was completely cheating, but the judge didn't say anything. You will definitely lose today's battle. I, Wu Yu, will defend my position on the Feather Gods list. After blocking Knight Sorrow's attack with the Heavenly Samsara Halberd, Wu Yu's eyebrows were filled with murderous intent. He could already tell that the 9 Divine Lord-level flood dragons were not enough to defeat Night Sorrow. He immediately used a secret technique to increase his strength and prepared to fight with the 9 flood dragons. Winning or losing is not decided by words. Night Sorrow, who was floating in the void, said disdainfully. At the moment, he was suppressing a fire-type flood dragon. This flood dragon was continuously hit by the halberd radiance of the heavenly Samsara halberd. It kept roaring in the void and tried to escape, but it couldn't get rid of the halberd radiance. I Wu Yu will prove it with my strength. Wu Yu, who had been despised, exploded with murderous intent. That violent murderous intent made the disciples of Tianqing Gate scream. Then, Wu Yu took out a mountain-shaped relic and threw it into the void. It covered Night Sorrow's head directly. Night Sorrow immediately felt an irresistible weight pressing down on him. He couldn't lift his head. What a strong power. But this is still not enough to suppress me. Night Sorrow's aura was completely locked on by this mountain-shaped relic. He couldn't escape at all. He made a prompt decision to use the 33 Heavens battle secret technique and increase his strength tenfold. He used the heavenly Samsara halberd to attack the mountain-shaped relic that was suppressing him. He wanted to shake off the suppression. Haha! It's useless. Take my 6 directions deity-destroying ruler. Seeing that Night Sorrow was suppressed, Wu Yu sneered and attacked with the 6 directions deity-destroying ruler. The 9 flood dragons in the void also swarmed up and were ready to tear Night Sorrow apart. Night Sorrow, watch out. Lu Qingyuan, who was watching the battle, saw that Night Sorrow was suppressed. He was so nervous that he clenched his fists. Mei Ruoxue was so scared that she closed her eyes, afraid that a tragedy would happen. Si Kongxiang and Yun Tingfei cheered for Night Sorrow. They didn't want to show weakness. Not bad, but it lacks real killing power. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had attacked the mountain-shaped relic with the 6 directions deity-destroying ruler, controlled the heavenly Samsara halberd to resist the mountain-shaped relic with its own strength. He used his bare hands to block Wu Yu's 6 directions deity-destroying ruler. Haha! You dare to block my 6 directions deity-destroying ruler with your bare hands. Night Sorrow, I have to admire your courage. However, you are digging your own grave. Seeing that Night Sorrow had blocked the 6 directions deity-destroying ruler with his bare hands, Wu Yu sneered. 6 directions deity-destroying ruler. It was a monarch grade relic. He didn't believe that Night Sorrow's body had reached the monarch grade. Boom! A moment later, the answer given by time shocked Wu Yu to the point of being dumbfounded. He discovered that countless cracks had appeared on his 6 directions divinity destruction ruler from Yi Shang's punch. How is this possible? Wu Yu couldn't believe what had happened. He came from the same family as Wu Xian. He had learned from Wu Xian about body tempering and had reached the upper feather god grade. Originally, he thought that even if he couldn't take down Night Sorrow for the time being, he could use his body's strength to crush him after the two's divine essence powers were depleted. Now, it looked like this possibility was gone. Moreover, Wu Yu judged that if the two's divine essence powers were completely depleted, he definitely wouldn't be Night Sorrow's match in terms of body strength. He immediately thought of countermeasures in his heart. He thought to himself, it's all Grand Elder Fan's fault. The 9 Dragons War Chariot's grade is too low. The 9 dragons summoned can't do anything to Night Sorrow. However, if I control them to self-destruct, the effect will definitely be very good. Thinking of this, Wu Yu didn't hesitate at all. He immediately made the fire attribute dragon closest to Night Sorrow self-destruct. Under Wu Yu's control, this fire attribute dragon didn't delay at all and directly chose to self-destruct. Rumble! A deafening sound instantly reverberated throughout the entire place. The self-destruction of a monarch-grade fire attribute dragon caused the surrounding void to completely collapse. How's Night Sorrow doing? The earth-shattering sound of self-destruction rang out. The hearts of everyone in Tianyun School immediately rose to their throats. Chapter 2593. In fact, the people of Tianyun School were too concerned about Yi Shiwen. Night Sorrow had survived the invincible monarch god talismans twice. How could he be killed by the self-explosion of a lower monarch god flood dragon? Just as the disciples of Tianqing Gate were cheering for Wu Yu's victory, Yi Shang's figure stepped out of the smoke. Samsara Void Palm. As soon as he appeared, Night Sorrow attacked Wu Yu with a Samsara Void Palm. After being attacked continuously and suffering some minor injuries, Night Sorrow's fighting spirit was aroused. What's going on? Why do I feel like I'm facing thousands of palms? Facing the Samsara Void palm, Wu Yu was shocked. He couldn't see through the trajectory of Night Sorrow's attack. Bang! The sudden attack from the void sent Wu Yu flying. The spectators of the Tianqing sect had yet to recover from their cheers when they let out a huge cry of surprise. Exclaim? What will make you exclaim is yet to come. Seeing everyone's reaction, Night Sorrow called back the Samsara halberd that was locked in a stalemate with the mountain-shaped divine weapon. Without hesitation, he attacked Wu Yu with the Samsara strike. When Wu Yu reacted and wanted to dodge, Night Sorrow used the Divine Essence Dragon Lock spell to trap him. Boom! Wu Yu, who couldn't break the Divine Essence Dragon Lock spell in a short time, was hit by the Samsara halberd. The injury was completely different from when he was hit by the palm. The robe on his body was shattered by the halberd radiance of the Samsara halberd. His entire person looked extremely wretched. Many parts of his body even revealed his bones. Sky-killing halberd. After the remaining 8 Divine Lord level flood dragons came to their senses, they continued to attack Yi Shan. Facing their attacks, Night Sorrow chose to take them head-on. Once again, he attacked Wu Yu with the heaven-slaughtering divine halberd that had the reincarnation attribute. He had deduced this move when he was fighting against the Shangguan clan's great elder, Shangguan Ku. It was very powerful and carried a crazy killing intent. Damn it! He still couldn't avoid it. We can only take it head-on. Facing Night Sorrow's sky-killing divine halberd, Wu Yu knew that dodging was useless. He controlled the mountain-shaped divine weapon and chose to collide with it directly. He knew that he would not be able to block this attack with the 6 Directions God Destruction Ruler. Wu Yu's mountain-shaped divine artifact, the 10,000 Mountains Divine Peak, was a monarch god-level taboo divine artifact given to him by the Gate Master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qing Feng. It was indeed very powerful and could withstand this attack. 1,000 sky-splitting shadow palms. Night Sorrow, who had used his God Domain and Divine Lord level Azure Phoenix battle armor to forcefully resist the attacks of the 8 dragons, continued to madly attack Wu Yu. Wu Yu, who was in a panic, could not react in time. He was hit in the chest, and several of his sternum were broken. Such powerful attacks, wave after wave of attacks. In terms of strength, I am not as strong as him. Wu Yu, who had spat out a mouthful of blood, immediately used his divine origin energy to repair his body. He was a little frightened. Forbidden Spear. At this moment, he felt that Wu Yu's aura was obviously suppressed. Night Sorrow sneered and attacked again. This was the effect he wanted. Using the continuous and violent attacks to make Wu Yu completely lose the confidence to resist. Again. How is your divine origin energy so dense that it can support such frequent attacks? As expected, Wu Yu's face turned ghastly pale when Night Sorrow used his Forbidden Spear. Wu Yu, use that move quickly. Even if it's cheating, we have to win this battle. At this moment, the Grand Elder of Tianqing Gate, Fan Xianyun, who was standing outside the arena, reminded him. Yes. Now that things have come to this, I can only use that method. Otherwise, I will definitely lose. Wu Yu, who was completely suppressed by Night Sorrow, heard Fan Xianyun's reminder, and his eyes lit up. He looked up to the sky and roared, "The power of heaven and earth is for me to use." In an instant, a large amount of divine spiritual energy in the area around Tianqing Gate rushed toward Wu Yu and entered his body. While repairing his body, it also filled his divine origin energy again. 9 Dragons War Chariot. Protect Master. Wu Yu, who had just recovered, did not have the chance to dodge the Forbidden Spear. At the crucial moment, he chose to use the 9 Dragons War Chariot to block in front of him. The heavenly Samsara halberd hit the 9 Dragons War Chariot, and the entire war chariot was smashed into pieces. The 8 flood dragons that had been attacking Yi Shang all this time disappeared into the void as the war chariot shattered. Ha 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 ha. The 9 Dragons War Chariot and the 8 dragons all disappeared into the void. Wu Yu, on the other hand, laughed wildly. With the support of the power of heaven and earth around Tianqing Gate, he felt that the divine origin energy in his body was about to overflow. The divine spiritual energy around Tianqing Gate was immeasurable. This meant that if he continued to fight here, the divine origin energy in his body would never dry up. The winner of this battle will be me, Wu Yu. Feeling the explosive power in his body, Wuyo sneered. Night Sorrow, you used so many secret techniques in succession just now, and you even used a secret technique to increase your strength. I think the backlash will come soon. The endless power made Wuyo feel like he controlled the world. At this moment, he felt like he was the ruler. Whether it's true or not, I will defeat you. Night Sorrow naturally understood what was going on with Wuyo. However, absolute confidence appeared between his brows. At this moment, he suddenly thought of a crazy way to fight. I, Wuyo, will never run out of divine power. I am invincible in the divine feather realm. Night Sorrow, prepare to meet your death. After his aura rose to a certain level, Wuyo, who had a crazed look on his face, roared and prepared to use his secret technique. Shameless! The two of them are using the power of heaven and earth to fight in the arena. This is completely cheating. Referee, don't you care? Lu Qingyuan, who was watching from the sidelines, flew to the referee and asked. Firstly, he didn't use any divine talismans. Secondly, he didn't use any elixirs. Thirdly, he didn't consume any treasures. It's not a violation of the rules, the referee replied coldly to Lu Qingyuan's question. F***CK. Are you from Tianqing Gate? A disciple of Tianqing Gate is participating in a battle, and the referee is choosing an elder from Tianqing Gate. Don't you have any shame? When he got closer, Lu Qingyuan immediately determined from the referee's aura that he was from the Clear Sky sect. If you make any more noise, it will affect me. I will rule that Tianyun School has violated the rules. Wuyo is the winner. In the face of Lu Qingyuan's question, the referee threatened him disdainfully. Shameless! Tianqing Gate had put in a lot of effort for Wuyo's battle. Lu Qingyuan, who couldn't help Night Sorrow at all, felt a sense of guilt. He felt that he wasn't qualified to lead the team. Wow! At this moment, Lu Qingyuan heard an uproar in the arena. He looked at the void where the battle was taking place and was instantly stunned. At this moment, Night Sorrow had used the Divine Essence Dragon-locking array to lock himself and Wuyo in a narrow space. He had chosen to fight him in close combat. Wuyo, isn't your Divine Essence energy boundless and endless? Why don't you show it to me? Wuyo's despicable method had completely infuriated Night Sorrow. He sneered and used his strong body to launch a crazy attack. This battle instantly turned into the most primitive way of fighting. In such a small space, Wuyo didn't have the space to use his secret techniques. He could only bite the bullet and fight Night Sorrow. Yi Shang's body was already unrivaled in the Feather God realm. Furthermore, he had the support of the Azure Phoenix battle armor, so he quickly suppressed Wuyo in close combat. Wuyo, who had so much God Essence energy that it was about to overflow, felt like crying but had no tears. Night Sorrow, I heard that you are the Feather God of Merit. You should be very concerned about the safety of your friends, right? Wuyo was completely suppressed. It was only a matter of time before he lost. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Chapter 2594. If my information is correct, Yaoshi should be your friend, right? Wu Yu, who was being suppressed, had no chance to use his ultimate techniques in this narrow space. He had sufficient divine essence energy, but he couldn't use it at all. He wasn't Night Sorrow's match in close combat, so he felt very aggrieved. Seeing that he was about to lose, he prepared to play tricks again. This was another trump card he had prepared to deal with Night Sorrow. Yaoshi, what did you do to her? Hearing Wu Yu's words, Night Sorrow thought for a moment. Yaoshi had indeed not appeared for a while. He thought that she had left. Haha. Of course, she has been controlled by the people of Tianqing Gate. Wu Yu laughed evilly in the enclosed space and transmitted his voice. How is it? Did you choose to give up this battle to save your friend? Or did you choose to ignore your friend's life and death for the sake of victory? Wu Yu, you did something wrong. Touching the enemy of my family and friends is equivalent to touching my reverse scale. Night Sorrow, who was still attacking, roared in the enclosed space. I didn't want to kill you, but now you will die without a doubt. Night Sorrow, whose roar shook the sky, was like an enraged tiger that wanted to tear Wu Yu to shreds. The legendary Feather God of Merit is actually such a piece of trash. For the sake of victory, you don't even care about your friend. Wu Yu, who was continuously attacked, had a body much stronger than ordinary cultivators. However, he had no chance of winning in close combat against Night Sorrow. He questioned with a crazed expression. Don't worry about these things. Think about how to welcome death. Night Sorrow, who was completely enraged, sneered and found an opportunity to shatter Wu Yu's dantian with a punch. At the same time that Wu Yu let out a blood-curdling scream, his spirit sea was shattered and his soul was destroyed. This process was too sudden. Wu Yu, who originally thought that Night Sorrow would definitely submit, was killed before he could even shout out a surrender. After killing Wu Yu, Night Sorrow did not immediately disperse the Divine Origin Dragon Locking Formation. Instead, he kept Wu Yu's spatial artifact into his bag and studied the items inside. He found a millstone-shaped secret treasure. After testing it out, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "Sure enough." Then, he dispersed the Divine Origin Dragon Locking Formation. Wu Yu's body, which had completely lost its vitality, fell to the ground. Seeing that Wu Yu had already been killed, everyone watching the battle at the scene all let out a wave of exclamations. Night Sorrow! I will kill you with my own hands to avenge my brother. Seeing Night Sorrow's figure slowly descend from the sky, Wu Li, who was watching from the sidelines, let out a sharp cry. He was Wu Yu's biological brother, but he had joined Tianxian's school. This was an unintentional setup. You are Wu Li. After the referee announced the result of the match, Night Sorrow swallowed a Yuan Qi recovery pill and looked at Wu Li. This Wu Li was the complete opposite of his name. His entire body seemed to be filled with endless evil qi. It was as if his entire body was formed by 10,000 years of evil qi. At first glance, one could tell that he was in existence with a strong murderous nature. I am Wu Li, Wu Yu's brother. Night Sorrow, I heard that you are going to participate in the deity group's grand competition. I hope you won't go back on your word. Wu Li's face was filled with intense resentment. He wanted to kill Night Sorrow in the deity group's grand competition to avenge Wu Yu. Of course I won't go back on my word. Night Sorrow looked fearlessly at Wu Li, who was collecting Wu Yu's corpse. Since you won't go back on your word, I will lend you a hand and help you break through to the supreme deity level. You are the virtuous feather god, right? Enjoy! At this moment, Wu Li suddenly roared and took out a golden fruit from his spatial artifact and threw it at Night Sorrow. What is this? Night Sorrow instinctively wanted to dodge, but before he could do anything, the golden fruit turned into merit and wrapped around his body. In an instant, Night Sorrow's merit energy, with the help of the golden fruit, directly broke through to the supreme deity level. Forget it. So be it. I won't take first place in the 7-sect grand competition. Feeling the surge of merit energy in his body, Night Sorrow knew that it was a very good choice for him to break through to the supreme deity level now. Using merit to prove one's Tao was the path he planned to take in the future. Haha. Let's see how you will take first place in the Feather God group after breaking through to the supreme deity level. Wu Li sneered when he saw Night Sorrow sitting on the ground and preparing to break through. At this moment, Lu Qingyuan and the others rushed over and drove Wu Li away to protect Night Sorrow. They were afraid that he would be disturbed or attacked if he broke through in public. Night Sorrow, can't you wait until we return to the station to break through? Lu Qingyuan, who had driven Wu Li away, asked. He felt that breaking through and transcending the tribulation in such an environment would definitely be greatly disturbed. It's a blessing in disguise. Yi Shang only said these words before he swallowed a pill to break through to the high deity level in both his body and soul. He had a deep foundation and had accumulated enough strength in the Feather God realm. It did not take much effort for him to break through. At this moment, the Thunder Tribulation energy body appeared. Tribulation failed. Tribulation failed. Tribulation failed. When they saw Yi Shang's Tribulation Lightning Energy avatar appear, the many spectating disciples of the Pure Sky sect all began to shout even though they didn't attack. They hated the fact that Night Sorrow had killed Wu Yu. In their hearts, Wu Yu was a role model, a legend, and an object of worship. But now, he had become a corpse. This made many Tianqing Gate disciples furious. Tianqing Gate's Gate Master Tan Qingfeng, Deputy Gate Master Liang Shijun, and Grand Elder Fan Xianyun were also gnashing their teeth in hatred. However, Tan Qingfeng had seen Ruler Qing Yin fight the Dark Moon Ruler for Night Sorrow. He did not dare to do anything underhanded. He also stopped Grand Elder Fan Xianyun, who was about to attack. But that thing has already been taken by him. How can we take it back? Grand Elder Fan Xianyun, who was stopped by Tan Qingfeng, looked at Night Sorrow with murderous eyes. Clearly, the thing Night Sorrow had just taken from Wu Yu was not ordinary. Don't worry, Grand Elder. I have a way to solve this problem. Tan Qingfeng promised. In fact, he wanted to use Yao Shi to exchange for the Tianqing Gate's secret treasure. Seeing that Night Sorrow had chosen the path of merit, he was sure that Night Sorrow would not disregard the life of his friend for a secret treasure. Fail? No way. In addition, I would like to thank Tianqing Gate. Night Sorrow stood up amidst the boos. His eyes were shining with incomparable confidence. He had a temperament of harmony with his body and Tao. After saying this, he rose into the air and fought with the Thunder Tribulation Energy Body. Facing the Thunder Tribulation Energy Body, Night Sorrow was different from when he had broken through to the immortal state. He showed no signs of exhaustion. He used all kinds of methods, ready to kill it directly. As the battle progressed, everyone could see that this was not a good choice. The strength of the Thunder Tribulation Energy Body was similar to that of Night Sorrow. If this battle continued, he would be greatly injured. However, Night Sorrow stubbornly fought the Thunder Tribulation Energy Body head-on. Can he really survive the Thunder Tribulation like this? Chapter 2595. Ever since he started cultivating, Lu Qingyuan had never seen a cultivator as stubborn as Night Sorrow. There was clearly a simple method to transcend the tribulation, but he chose the most extreme and violent method instead of using it. What he didn't know was that Yi Shang was doing this for two reasons. First, he wanted to use the most domineering way to transcend the tribulation and slap everyone in the Tianqing society in the face. Second, he wanted to show Tan Qingfeng the secret treasure he had just obtained. He wanted to use the secret treasure to exchange for Yao Shi's safety. For Night Sorrow, secret treasures were easy to obtain, but friends were hard to come by. After fighting for a while, Night Sorrow was seriously injured. At this time, the disciples of Tianqing Gate were already cheering for the Thunder Tribulation. Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue, and the other disciples of Tianyun School who were watching the fight clenched their fists and prayed for the Thunder Tribulation. Tianqing Millstone. Activate. The power of heaven and earth is mine to use. Just when Night Sorrow was seriously injured and looked like he might die, he suddenly activated the Tianqing Millstone. Just like Wuyo in the fight, his injuries were instantly healed and his primordial spirit was replenished. In fact, when Wuyo used this move, Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to determine what was going on. He didn't rely on his own ability, but on the Tianqing Millstone. Therefore, when Wuyo threatened him with Yao Shi, Night Sorrow chose to refuse without thinking. He knew that as long as he killed Wuyo and obtained the Tianqing Millstone, the people of Tianqing Gate would definitely give in. Bastard! I, Fan Xianyun, will find a chance to kill you. Seeing Night Sorrow use the Tianqing Millstone to pass the tribulation with the help of the power of heaven and earth of Tianqing Gate, Tianqing Gate's Taishang elder Fan Xianyun was furious. However, he didn't dare to make a move in front of everyone. In about 4 hours, Night Sorrow defeated the Lightning Tribulation Energy Clone and officially broke through to become a lesser great deity. After the breakthrough, not only did Night Sorrow's aura become much stronger, but his movements also had a special charm. The backlash from the power of virtue had also completely disappeared. His strength had increased qualitatively. If he were to fight with Wuyo again, Night Sorrow would be able to kill him in one move without any suspense. Night Sorrow, who had just finished transcending his tribulation, slowly landed on the ground. The results of the other groups had already been announced. In the civil war at Tianyun School, Yan Zhang was more skillful and successfully gave the victory to Ho Qing-shan, which made the other party unhappy. Shangshu Yan, on the other hand, had displayed her formidable strength in the battle against Yan Zhifei. She had easily defeated her opponent. Her battle prowess was not any weaker than Wuyo's. As for the last group, Ao Qingsong from the Heavenly Star Pavilion was seriously injured and almost died. In the end, he succeeded in eliminating Wen Tianhe. As a result, he lost the ability to participate in the next round. Night Sorrow had withdrawn from the Seven Sex tournament because he had broken through to become a great deity. Ho Qingshan and Ao Qingsong had both lost the ability to fight. The championship was already in Shangshu Yan's bag. Haha, Night Sorrow, Congratulations on taking the first step and becoming a great deity. You may be the God Realm cultivator who has occupied the first place for the shortest time. Xiangshu Yan, who had already won the 7-sex tournament, immediately went to congratulate Knight Sorrow after he finished his breakthrough. Haha. I should congratulate you for becoming the first place on the God Realm list and winning the 7-sex tournament, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Isn't it because of your withdrawal? You owe me a favor. And now we're even. You don't say. Occupying the first place on the God Realm list and winning the 7-sex tournament at the same time feels good. No wonder Wu Yu tried so hard to defeat you. Xiangshu Yan's face was full of smiles. Although she said that, she didn't seem to care too much about it. She came from the Xiangshu family, where ruler Voiceless was from, so she didn't care much about fame. We're even now, but Knight Sorrow can't forget that you saved my life. If you hadn't given me ruler Voiceless divine talisman, I would have been crippled or killed by the gate master of the Tianqing Gate, Tan Qing Feng. Knight Sorrow looked at Xiangshu Yan and said seriously, "You're talking about that? Actually, you're the one at a disadvantage. The divine talisman I got was extremely powerful, while the one you got only contained a projection of the ruler." Xiangshu Yan smiled and continued, "If you guys from the Tianyun school don't have anything else to do, I would like to invite you to the Tianxian sect tonight so that we can celebrate together. What do you think? At the same time, I would like to introduce you to the senior sisters of the Great Deity Group. When the Great Deity Group competition starts, we can all support each other. So, do you want to go or not?" Upon hearing this, Knight Sorrow looked at Lu Qingyuan, Si Kongxiang and the other Tianyun school disciples. He was prepared to meet the great deity experts, but he still needed to ask for everyone's opinion. "I'm going. Of course I'm going." Si Kongxiang was the first to answer Knight Sorrow. He answered without hesitation. "Si Kongxiang, you answered so straightforwardly. Are you interested in a female disciple of the Tianxian sect?" Mei Ruoxue had a puzzled look on her face when she saw Si Kongxiang rush to answer. The two of them had been childhood sweethearts, but after entering the sect, the two of them seemed to have opened the door to a new world. They had tacitly walked out of that state of mind back then. "I think that the young lady I met in the first round was very otherworldly. She suits my taste," Si Kongxiang said without the slightest shyness. Xiangshu Yan turned to look at him when she heard this. "Haha, I can set you up later." Si Kongxiang, "Thank you, senior sister Xiangshu." Si Kongxiang saluted her with cupped fists. "Look at you, you look like a lecherous hungry ghost." His appearance attracted a burst of ridicule from Mei Ruoxue. Everyone burst into laughter. Knight Sorrow locked his gaze on Tan Qing Feng. He sent a telepathic message, "Release Yao Shi within 2 hours. Otherwise, the Tianqing Gate will lose the Tianqing Millstone forever." Everyone was celebrating tonight. Knight Sorrow didn't want Yao Shi to be the only one missing. "Haha. Knight Sorrow, you have proven your Dao through merit. You are indeed loyal to your friends. All right, I'll order someone to bring Yao Shi here." Tan Qing Feng, who had originally wanted to talk to Knight Sorrow about the Tianqing Millstone, raised his eyebrows when he heard Knight Sorrow's voice transmission. His face lit up with joy. The Tianqing Millstone was useless elsewhere. However, if it was used in the Tianqing Gate area, it could trigger the power of heaven and earth. It was very important to the Tianqing Gate, so it couldn't be lost. "All right, let's wait for Yao Shi to come over before we discuss the terms of the exchange." Knight Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Tan Qing Feng before he turned around and continued chatting with Xiangshu Yan. Tan Qingfeng's face darkened when he heard this. He knew that Knight Sorrow was going to ask for an exorbitant price. However, although he was displeased, the importance of the Tianqing Millstone was self-evident. He didn't retort. Instead, he began to think about his bargaining chips. After Yao Shi was brought over, Tan Qing Feng sent a voice transmission to Knight Sorrow. "Tell me, what else do you want? The Tianqing Millstone is important, but don't ask for an exorbitant price. Otherwise, I won't agree." "I don't want much. I just want pills," Knight Sorrow replied casually. "What pills?" Chapter 2596. I need 10 pills that can help a cultivator ascend to the upper god level. Knight Sorrow said. He was going to participate in the upper god competition, not to get beaten up, but to improve his strength as quickly as possible. Others could ascend to the upper god level with just 1 pill, but Knight Sorrow felt that he needed at least 5 pills. 10 pills would be safer. My Clear Sky sect does have pills that can allow a high god to advance directly. However, these pills are extremely rare and I can't take out 10 of them. I can give you 3 of them. Knight Sorrow's request was very rare. Tianyun School didn't have it, but Tianqing Gate did. However, Tan Qing Feng couldn't bear to give out 10 pills at once, so he started to bargain. Tan Qing Feng, you know that I'm a man of my word. If I say 10 pills, then 10 pills. Knight Sorrow didn't give in at all. Without 10 pills, there's no need to talk about the Tianqing Millstone. Knight Sorrow wants 10 Dragon Blood Limit Breaking Pills. Vice Headmaster, Grand Elder Fan, what do you think? Tan Qing Feng didn't answer Knight Sorrow immediately. Instead, he discussed with Liang Shijun and Grand Elder Fan Xianyun. At first, Fan Xianyun's attitude was very tough, but the 3 of them felt that the Tianqing Millstone was more valuable, so they chose to compromise. In the end, Tan Qing Feng took 10 Dragon Blood Limit Breaking Pills from the sect's treasury and handed them to Knight Sorrow personally. Knight Sorrow was very satisfied with the 10 Dragon Blood Limit Breaking Pills after rescuing Yao Shi. However, he had just ascended to the lower god level and hadn't consolidated his power yet, so he couldn't take them immediately. That night, Knight Sorrow and the others from Tianyun School all went to the Tianyun School's banquet. On the way, Ao Qingsong and Yun Tianyi brought their people from the Heavenly Star Pavilion and infiltrated the Tianyun School's team. They said that they wanted the exalted gods of the 3 sects to get familiar with each other. In fact, they were plotting against the fairies of the Tianxian sect. This was how Knight Sorrow got to know the 5 high gods of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. They were Zhuang Yuhe, ranked 4th on the upper god list, Zhan Xiang, ranked 12th, Lu Yifan, ranked 26th, Yuan Feng, ranked 28th, and Situ Qingming, ranked 33rd. With Yun Tianyi and Ao Qingsong taking the lead, everyone got along well. When they arrived at the Heaven Immortal sect, Knight Sorrow, as the leader of this matter, was also the center of attention. Everyone drank happily. The 5 high god experts of the Heavenly Immortal sect also got along well with Knight Sorrow, especially Murong Kai Yi, who was ranked 5th on the high god list. She appreciated him very much. Shangshu Yan had even tried to matchmake the 2 of them, but Knight Sorrow was a married man. Naturally, he wouldn't fall in love with each other, so he tactfully avoided this matter. 3 days later, the Feather God clan competition of the 7 sects began again. In the end, Knight Sorrow advanced to the high god realm and directly won 4th place. Ao Qingsong was ranked 3rd, and Ho Qingshan dramatically won 2nd place. The champion was naturally Shangshu Yan. The results of the 7 sects. Tianyun School won 1st place, Heavenly Immortal sect was ranked 2nd, Heavenly Star Pavilion was ranked 3rd, Heavenly Martial Pavilion was ranked 4th, Tianqing Gate was ranked 5th, Soaring Heaven sect was ranked 6th, and Tianxian School was ranked last. Shangshu Yan, who won the individual championship, received the blessing of the Heavenly Cloud Continent's origin source. Tianyun School received the blessing of the Heavenly Cloud Continent's origin source. In addition, everyone who won the rankings received more generous rewards. Apart from the Heavenly Immortal sect and the Heavenly Star Pavilion, all the other clans hated the fact that the Tianyun clan, which had always ranked last, had managed to make a comeback. They wanted to teach the Tianyun clan a lesson during the competition. Knight Sorrow, you've won face for Tianyun School. This is the reward you deserve. The competition of the Feather Gods group had come to an end, and the competition of the High Gods group would take place in 7 days. Back at the encampment, Divine King Zhuangqing was in a good mood. He immediately went to find Yishang and gave him an ultimate technique, as well as his many years of cultivation experience. The name of the technique was Azure Rock Soul Rending Roar. It could transform divine origin energy and soul energy into a roar to attack a cultivator's soul. As for the cultivation experience, Knight Sorrow needed it. Thank you, Grand Elder Zhuang. Knight Sorrow didn't refuse the Divine King Zhuangqing's reward. After thanking him, he said, Knight Sorrow will work hard in the High God group and win glory for Tianyun School. The battle between the High Gods will be a trial mode. It will be very dangerous. You've just become a High God, so you don't have to risk your life. If you feel that something is wrong, just crush your identity crystal and you'll be teleported out of the secret realm. Remember, ensuring your safety is the most important thing. The divine King Zhuangqing had high hopes for Night Sorrow, and his words were full of concern. Grand Elder Zhuang, can you tell Night Sorrow about the secret realm and the rules of the High God Group competition? Night Sorrow had decided to participate in the High God Group competition at the last minute, so he didn't know the rules. According to past experience, it's a test of the High Gods to see who can survive until the end. When you first enter the secret realm, you can move around in a large area. Most of you will only encounter the creatures in the secret realm, but as time goes by, the area you can move around in will gradually shrink, and then you'll have to fight fiercely. The divine King Zhuangqing explained, then continued, generally speaking, there are only 2 rules to determine the rankings. It's either to see who survives until the end, or to see how many points you have. It depends on how the judges set it. God King, I already know about this matter. If there's nothing else, I'll enter the spatial artifact to consolidate my cultivation. Night Sorrow had just become a high god, so he only had 7 days to consolidate his cultivation. Time was tight, and he didn't want to waste any time. Alright, cultivation needs to be done step by step. Don't rush ahead just for the competition. The divine King Zhuangqing left after saying that, and returned to Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact. Night Sorrow completely entered a state of cultivation. In the spatial artifact, he first mastered the immortal mantra's high god level, then calmed down and began to cultivate. After 2 years of cultivation, Night Sorrow had completely consolidated his cultivation as a low god. This was an extremely fast speed. Moreover, he had successfully learned the green rock soul-rending roar that the divine King Zhuangqing had given him. When he finished cultivating and came out of the spatial artifact, Lu Qingyuan immediately asked with concern, Night Sorrow, how's your cultivation? I've stabilized my cultivation, but I haven't fought, so I don't know where I stand on the high god list. Night Sorrow explained, if I can spar with a few of the high god list experts in the sect, I'll definitely have a better understanding of my strength. Even so, there's no time. We need to hurry to the competition venue. Lu Qingyuan shrugged helplessly. If they didn't go now, Tianyun School would definitely miss the High God Group competition. If that's the case, then I'll participate. Night Sorrow nodded and didn't dwell on the matter any longer. He hurried to the competition venue with the Tianyun School group. Chapter 2597. The battle between the High Gods will take place in the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm. After the 35 contestants arrived, the Vice-Sect Master of Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun, immediately announced the location. He then continued, the 35 contestants will appear in the Secret Realm at random. When you land, you may encounter the creatures in the Secret Realm or opponents from other sections. What you need to do is not only to survive the attacks of the creatures in the Secret Realm, but also to defeat your opponents and gain points. The more points you have, the higher your ranking. Liang Shijun looked at Night Sorrow and the others and said, the 35 of you will be awarded points based on your ranking on the Feather God list. Defeating the first-ranked contestant will give you 35 points, and so on. Defeating the 35th ranked contestant will give you 1 point. The battle will last for a month. Every day, your area of activity will be reduced. If you stay outside the designated area, you will be directly teleported out of the secret realm and lose the right to compete. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Liang Shijun recounted the other details. For example, the contestants must wear an image crystal and a teleportation crystal. Crushing the teleportation crystal could directly teleport them out of the secret realm. After Liang Shijun finished, everyone began to pay attention to the contestants' rankings. Night Sorrow was only in the 80s on the High Gods list, so he was in the 35th place, which was the last place. He was only worth 1 point. That's good. There's no pressure. Night Sorrow only saw his own name after searching from the beginning to the end. He smiled and began to pay attention to the others. In first place was Tianxian School's Wu Li. He was ranked 3rd on the High Gods list and was the strongest among the 7 High Gods. In second place were Heavenly Star Pavilion's Zhuang Yuha and Heavenly Martial Pavilion's Meng Du. They were both ranked 4th on the High Gods list. In 4th place was Heavenly Immortal Sect's Murong Tsai. In 5th place was Soaring Heaven Sect's Hua Yunmiao. In 6th place was Tianqing Gate's Zhang Yudi. In Tianyun School, the highest was Mu Qingyu, who was ranked 9th. Overall, Tianyun School and Night Sorrow were the same, ranked last. Haha, all in all, the Tianyun clan score is the last. You can go into battle with ease. Safety is the most important thing. Lu Qingyuan said after looking at the list. He judged that Night Sorrow was invincible in the Divine Feather Realm, but he probably wasn't too outstanding among the exalted gods. Therefore, he didn't have high expectations for everyone. After all, points were not allowed in the high god group. One had to rely on their own strength to defeat their opponents one by one. This way, the suspense would be reduced significantly. Rest assured, Elder Lu. We'll do what we can. But no matter what, Tianyun School, will not place last in this year's competition. There was a tinge of stubbornness on Mu Qingyu's face. Helping Tianyun School get out of the last place was his bottom line. Good. You have ambition. Lu Qingyuan patted Mu Qingyu's shoulder. He looked at Night Sorrow and reminded him, Wu Li, who is ranked first, and Meng Du, who is ranked second, both have a grudge against you. You must be wary of them in the mystic realm. I'll be careful. The mystic realm is so big. We might not meet each other. Even if we do, I'm confident that I can protect myself. Night Sorrow nodded and discussed the gathering and the distress signal with everyone. By the time the 5 of them were ready, the deputy clan master of the Tianqing clan, Liang Shijun, had just summoned 35 contestants to the teleportation array. They bade farewell to the people of the Tianyun clan and got up to rush towards the teleportation array. Night Sorrow had just arrived at the teleportation array when Wu Li's cold gaze swept over him. He said coldly, If we meet, you won't even have the chance to crush the teleportation crystal. The hostility and murderous aura on his body made many people unconsciously retreat. It was very powerful. In the face of Wu Li's threat, Night Sorrow pointed at his fist and said, The heavenly realm speaks with their fists, not their mouths. You'd better remember this. Haha. Trash, who is ranked 35th. Do you think you'll have a chance to turn the tables when you meet me? The heavenly realm speaks with strength, not wishful thinking. Wu Li, who was already a peak high god, was full of disdain in the face of Night Sorrow, a lesser high god. Night Sorrow, don't be afraid of him. I'll be on your side. When the time comes, we'll beat him up together. At this time, Zhuang Yuhe of Heavenly Martial Pavilion stood out with a look of contempt. It was obvious that he was not afraid of Wu Li at all. How can a loser be brave? Wu Li, who had once defeated Zhuang Yuhe, had a contemptuous smile on his face. The 2 of them were the top existences among the high gods of the 7 sections. They were relatively arrogant, and neither of them was willing to submit to the other. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes. Wu Li, this time I'll defeat you. Zhuang Yuhe's mouth had a contemptuous smile, but the battle intent on his body had completely erupted. I don't care what's going on with you, but I must kill Night Sorrow. Heavenly Martial Pavilion's Meng Du slowly walked over. His hatred for Night Sorrow was comparable to Wu Li's. After personally witnessing Night Sorrow melting the Heavenly Martial Soul Battle Spear and Yan Fangling being dragged into the inner cabin by Lu Qingyuan, he already had a knot in his heart. Being targeted by the 1st and 2nd place, this Night Sorrow is really miserable. He'll probably be slapped to death once he enters. Seeing that Night Sorrow was being threatened by the 2 experts, many people began to discuss through voice transmission. Wu Li and Zhuang Yuhe were too strong, so they did not dare to speak too much for fear of attracting trouble. At this time, Wu Li's face was filled with killing intent as he announced, After entering the secret realm, whoever finds Night Sorrow and notifies me will be rewarded with 20 points. 20 points was equivalent to defeating the 15th ranked participant. This immediately attracted the attention of many people. After all, the total points were only 630. Considering that the experts would snatch a lot of points, an ordinary participant would at least be able to secure a middle ranking by obtaining 20 points. Those who originally had nothing to do with Night Sorrow looked at him, memorizing his face and aura. Seeing that Wu Li's method was effective, Meng Du's face was filled with killing intent as he said, I, Meng Du, will give the same reward as Wu Li. You guys should worry about whether you can obtain 20 points in this trip. Facing the aggressive Wu Li and Meng Du, Night Sorrow disdainfully replied. He did not put their threats in his eyes. In fact, after seeing the Dark Moon Ruler, Night Sorrow suddenly felt that there was nothing to be afraid of. Naturally, He would not fear Wu Li and Meng Du, who were at the same level. Let's wait and see, Wu Li said and stood beside Night Sorrow, as if he wanted to be the closest to him to teleport. I hope we can teleport to the same place. This way, we can save the trouble of finding you. Meng Du also stood by Yishan's side and threatened. Meng Du, you and Yan Zhifei are both blindly confident and will suffer a great loss. Do you really think that I, Night Sorrow, am a soft persimmon that you can pinch as you wish? Chapter 2598. Haha. Whether he is a pushover or not, I, Meng Du, will know after giving it a try. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Meng Du laughed heartily. He then looked at Wu Li and said, Wu Li, why don't we make a bet? What bet? Wu Li glanced at Meng Du. If you kill Night Sorrow first, I will give you 300,000 divine crystals. Otherwise, you will give me the same amount. How about that? Meng Du looked as if he was certain that he would win against Night Sorrow. Good. I like this bet. Wu Li, whose body was overflowing with killing intent, squeezed out a cold smile from the corner of his mouth. Night Sorrow, who had scoffed at the two of them, completely ignored them. Don't worry too much. The Heavenly Immortal Sect and I will fight alongside you. At this time, Murong Tsai transmitted her voice to Night Sorrow, stating the position of the Heavenly Immortal Sect and her. Night Sorrow, whose heart was warmed, replied, Perhaps we can properly scheme against them inside. The hatred they have for me can easily cause them to fall into an irrecoverable situation. Although they are strong, the result of fighting in a different environment may be very different. Good. Once we are inside, we will make a good plan with the people of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. Murong Tsai replied and gave Night Sorrow the contact method of the Heavenly Immortal Sect. The members of the Heavenly Immortal Sect were all women, so their sense of danger was relatively strong. Their means of communication were very secretive. Soon after, Night Sorrow, who had also said the secret signal of the Tianyun school, also exchanged a call for help with the people of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. When Liang Shijun announced that the teleportation array was about to begin, everyone's attention shifted from Night Sorrow to her face. Looking at the contestants, Liang Shijun revealed a trace of a playful smile and said, Let me remind everyone that among the creatures in the secret realm, there is a half-step divine king. If you want to survive and obtain points, it won't be easy. Finally, I wish you all the best in coming out alive. After saying this, Liang Shijun activated the teleportation array. A dazzling light flashed, and the 35 people in the teleportation array were all teleported to the secret realm. A moment later, Night Sorrow's figure appeared in an area of surging lava. Although this place was very barren, there were strange trees growing on the limited land. These trees seemed to be made of fine iron, and their skin emitted a metallic luster. There were insect-like beasts among the trees. These exotic beasts were basically fighting each other. Clearly, they were very bloodthirsty. Night Sorrow looked around and did not see any other contestants. Then, he activated the sea serpent's eye. Looking around, Night Sorrow immediately saw a gigantic fire attribute earth dragon in a lava swamp. Judging from his aura, he should be a half-step divine king. Oh woo! Just as Night Sorrow's attention was focused on the earth dragon, it looked over and flew out of the swamp, spraying a mouthful of flames at Night Sorrow. A half-step divine king-class earth dragon. Seeing this earth dragon fly out of the lava swamp, Night Sorrow did not hesitate to use the Void Extreme Shadow Body and retreat. He was 6 stages away from the half-step divine king. Moreover, he had just entered the Immortal Cloud's secret realm and was not familiar with the environment. Naturally, he would not try to challenge it. Trespassers shall die. Night Sorrow fled in front, and the earth dragon behind him roared and spat out flames again. These flames were very different from the ones it had just spat out. The temperature was much higher, and Night Sorrow was not burned. However, he felt his divine soul tremble, and it was very uncomfortable. Even the blue phoenix battle armor could not block these flames. Ha ha ha. Night Sorrow actually encountered a half-step divine king-class earth dragon as soon as he entered the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. Looks like he will die in the hands of this earth dragon even without Meng Du's help. In the Tianqing Gate, Meng Yi, the leader of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, was watching Night Sorrow's movements through the image crystal. When he saw Night Sorrow being chased by the earth dragon, he immediately laughed. Being targeted by a half-step Divine King-class Earth Dragon, he is dead for sure. Yan Zhifei, who was standing beside Meng Yi, gritted his teeth and muttered. His hatred for Night Sorrow was much deeper than Meng Du's. Hearing them talk about Night Sorrow in such a way, Lu Qingyuan immediately said unhappily, "What nonsense are you talking about? Don't use your short-sighted eyes to judge a super genius, okay? Otherwise, you will be mocked by others if your view is too low." What? Do you think Night Sorrow can survive the pursuit of this half-step Divine King-class Earth Dragon? Meng Yi asked with a cold smile. Yes, that's right, so what? Lu Qingyuan asked with an unhappy expression. Since you think so, why don't we make a bet? I bet that Night Sorrow will be killed by this Earth Dragon. Meng Yi looked at Lu Qingyuan, his face full of provocation. Seeing him like this, Lu Qingyuan sneered and asked, "What do you want to bet on? I am old enough, and I don't want any more concubines." You! Hearing this, Meng Yi flew into a rage. After thinking for a while, he said, "This time, whoever loses will kneel here in front of everyone until the end of the deity group competition. What do you think?" "Since you want to kneel, I will satisfy you." Lu Qingyuan snorted and agreed. He had endless confidence in Night Sorrow. "Okay. It's a deal," Meng Yi said and took the initiative to swear an oath to the heavenly Tao, afraid that Lu Qingyuan would not cooperate. Then, he fixed his eyes on the image of Night Sorrow again. Can this flame burn the divine soul? This is good stuff. Night Sorrow, who was fleeing, had no idea what was going on outside. He felt that these flames were rare and good stuff. If he could collect some, it would be of great use when dealing with Wu Li and Meng Du. However, the problem was how to get it. Because just collecting the flames spat out by the Earth Dragon would not be ideal. He needed the fire origin. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow said to the half-step Divine King Earth Dragon behind him, "I want to exchange for some fire origin. Can you think about it? You can state your conditions." Roar. You want to snatch the fire origin? Dang. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the originally violent Earth Dragon was completely enraged and spat out flames again. It is absolutely impossible to obtain the fire origin through this Earth Dragon. It seems that the only way is to lead it away, return here, and try my luck in the lava swamp. The half-step Divine King was not the real Divine King after all. While fleeing, Night Sorrow took out the materials in his spatial artifact and started to set up a trap array, preparing to trap the Earth Dragon for a while. Night Sorrow, who had used the Void Extreme Shadow Body, quickly finished setting up the trap array and trapped the Earth Dragon. Amidst the Earth Dragon's furious roar, Night Sorrow left the range of the trap array and headed straight for the lava swamp. Haha! The Earth Dragon has been trapped by the trap array. Even if Night Sorrow leaves leisurely, he will not be caught. Meng Yi, hurry up and kneel. Don't be embarrassed. Anyway, you people from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion are shameless. Seeing Night Sorrow use the trap array to trap the Earth Dragon, Lu Qingyuan immediately laughed and looked at Meng Yi. This, Meng Yi, who was watching the image, had an awkward expression. He had not expected Night Sorrow to be able to set up such a powerful trap array. Chapter 2599. Night Sorrow hasn't completely left. There's still a chance he'll be killed by the Earth Dragon. I haven't lost yet. Just as Meng Yi had made up his mind and was about to kneel in the plaza, he saw Night Sorrow return to the lava swamp and jump in. What is Night Sorrow planning to do? Did he discover something good in the lava swamp? Lu Qingyuan, who had also seen Night Sorrow jump into the lava swamp, muttered in confusion. This lava is so hot. There must be a fire attribute treasure below. Perhaps it's the fire origin I'm looking for. Night Sorrow, who was completely unaware of the bet between Lu Qingyuan and Meng Yi, immediately felt his entire body burn uncomfortably after jumping into the lava. The lava here was very hot, almost as hot as the flames used by divine-level alchemists to refine pills. Night Sorrow didn't see a single living creature as he dove down. The lower he went, the higher the temperature became. In the end, he had no choice but to use the 33 Heavens secret combat technique to increase his strength tenfold to barely withstand the heat. He had been using his divine sense to investigate and the sea serpent's eye to observe his surroundings. He quickly found the reason why the lava swamp was so hot. It turned out that at the bottom of the swamp, there was a massive, fiery red feather. This fiery red feather was several hundred feet long. As he approached, Night Sorrow felt an apocalyptic heat rush towards him. With such a high temperature, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult to store it in a spatial artifact. This massive, fiery red feather was definitely something good, but Night Sorrow began to worry that it would be very difficult to store it. Ancestral Phoenix Feather. Night Sorrow found an ancestral phoenix feather. The divine king Zhuangqing, who was hiding in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact but was also watching Night Sorrow's situation, suddenly shouted. The ancestral phoenix, also known as the phoenix ancestor, was the ancestor of the phoenix race. The feather in front of Night Sorrow was one that had fallen off. Ancestral phoenix feather. Is that a ruler-level material? Lu Qingyuan asked excitedly upon hearing the divine king Zhuangqing's voice transmission. It's an excellent fire attribute material. Night Sorrow's luck was too deep. You can even find such a rare treasure. The divine king Zhuangqing's face was filled with envy. He felt that Night Sorrow's luck was simply heavenly. Ancestral phoenix feather? At this moment, the gate master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, also noticed the situation with Night Sorrow. After confirming that Night Sorrow had found the ancestral phoenix feather, he said to Lu Qingyuan, the divine cloud realm belongs to Tianqing Gate. When Night Sorrow comes out, he must return the ancestral phoenix feather to Tianqing Gate. Return. In the history of the Seven Sect Grand Tournament, all the fortuitous encounters obtained in the secret zones belong to the participants. Why should Night Sorrow give something that he found to Tianqing Gate? Lu Qingyuan replied unhappily. He felt that Tan Qingfeng was really shameless. Tianqing men will give him appropriate compensation. However, we must have this ancestral phoenix feather. Tan Qingfeng's face was filled with greed. He wanted to use this ancestral phoenix feather to refine a divine weapon that was close to the ruler level. However, Tan Qingfeng's face darkened as soon as he finished speaking. This was because he saw Night Sorrow fuse the ancestral phoenix feather into the Samsara halberd. In fact, Night Sorrow did this because he had no other choice. The temperature of the feather was too high. It was as if it could melt everything in the world. It was impossible to store it in a spatial device. He could only fuse it into the Samsara halberd and try to increase its fire attribute. What a waste! Night Sorrow fused the ancestral phoenix feather into the Samsara halberd. It's a complete waste. It can't be used to its full potential. Tan Qingfeng was so angry that he was fuming. The ancestral phoenix feather could be used as the main material to refine a king-level divine weapon that was close to the ruler level. However, Night Sorrow had used it as a supplementary material to fuse it into the Divine Lord level Samsara halberd. He was so jealous that he was going crazy. Great! After fusing it with the ancestral phoenix feather, the effect will be increased by more than 100 times. Night Sorrow, who had successfully upgraded the Samsara halberd, was very satisfied. After leaving the flaming swamp, he tested the Inferno demon and felt that the power of this move was even greater than the Samsara strike. Oh no! The Earth Dragon has escaped. I have to leave this area. At this moment, Night Sorrow sensed that the trap array had been broken. He immediately used the Void Extreme Shadow Body and flew into the distance. By the time the half-step God King Earth Dragon returned, Yi Shang had already arrived at a simple and unadorned forest. Ha ha ha! Meng Yi, can you kneel now? Seeing that Night Sorrow had completely left this area, Lu Qingyuan smiled and looked at Meng Yi. Our bet hasn't ended yet. Why should I kneel? Meng Yi sneered and said, I can't see the Earth Dragon in the image now. However, I think that the ancestral phoenix feather is gone. The Earth Dragon will definitely go crazy looking for it. Sooner or later, it will find Night Sorrow and kill him. I say, aren't you a little too shameless? According to what you said, as long as you don't see Night Sorrow kill the Earth Dragon, you won't kneel? Lu Qingyuan asked disdainfully. Of course, Meng Yi said with a smile and a proud look. I can't be bothered with a despicable person like you. Lu Qingyuan fixed his gaze on Night Sorrow's image again. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was walking in the ancient forest, suddenly stopped in his tracks. What happened to Night Sorrow? Seeing this scene, Lu Qingyuan couldn't help but worry. The rest of the people from Tianyun School also looked serious. They were very worried for Night Sorrow. He must have encountered an unexpected situation. At this moment, Yan Jifei of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion pointed at the image of Ning Ziyuan. He reminded Meng Yi, "Elder Meng, Night Sorrow has fallen into the formation set up by Senior Ning Ziyuan." Lu Qingyuan heard this and immediately looked over. He saw Ning Ziyuan of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion hiding in the concealment formation behind a tree. He was staring at Night Sorrow maliciously. He was ranked 20th among the 35 people, and was good at setting up formations. Seeing this scene, Lu Qingyuan and the rest of the people from Tianyun School were all worried for Night Sorrow. "Ha ha ha! Night Sorrow, I didn't expect you to fall into my trap formation. Now, you just wait for Senior Meng Du to arrive. I've already sent him a signal and received a response." After making sure that Night Sorrow had completely fallen into the trap formation, Ning Ziyuan walked out of the concealment formation and said proudly, "Although your trap formation is only at the high god level, it's not bad. It's worth learning from." Night Sorrow, who was in the trap formation, smiled. He easily broke the trap formation and walked out. He had the eye of the sea serpent. How could he not see through Ning Ziyuan's trap formation and his concealment formation? He pretended to be trapped because he wanted to use Ning Ziyuan, who was wearing the uniform of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion, to lure Meng Du over. Before Meng Du entered the secret territory, he had already angered Night Sorrow. Naturally, he wouldn't sit still and wait for his death. He was ready to take the initiative to attack. Now that Ning Ziyuan had admitted that he had sent a signal to Meng Du and received a response, Night Sorrow didn't stay in the trap formation. How is this possible? Ning Ziyuan had a look of disbelief on his face as Night Sorrow easily broke through the trapping array he had set up. "I can even set up a senior god level trap formation. How can I be trapped by your high god level trap formation?" Chapter 2600. Night Sorrow. Don't think that you can continue to dominate the high gods just because you're invincible in the Feather God group. I, Ning Ziyuan, am ranked 20th, 15 places higher than you. I'm not afraid of you in terms of strength. Ning Ziyuan, who was a little flustered, calmed down when he thought of Night Sorrow's ranking and the fact that he had just broken through to the high god level. After all, he was an invincible high god ranked in the top 20 of the Feather God list. He had been a high god for countless years and had already stabilized his cultivation base. Ranked 20th. Worth 15 points. Very good. Just nice, I can test my strength. Yi Shang looked at Ning Ziyuan with a hint of anticipation in his eyes. After advancing to the lower high god level, he had not experienced any battles yet. He felt that Ning Ziyuan, who was ranked in the middle, was just right to be his first opponent. He should be able to test his strength. At the same time, Night Sorrow released his signal, hoping to get a response from the others to deal with Meng Du together. Shameless boasting. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of Elder Yan and Senior Brother Meng. Unfortunately, you're only worth 1 point. Ning Ziyuan gradually calmed down and stopped thinking about Night Sorrow's fame and his identity as the Merit High God. He took out the Heavenly Feather Azure Sword that was protecting him and roared as he used his ultimate skill. Heavenly Feather Dragon Slaying Sword. Facing Ning Ziyuan's Heavenly Feather Dragon Slaying Sword, Night Sorrow activated the Sea Serpent's Eye. Seeing the trajectory of the attack, he took out the Reincarnation Halberd and faced it. Bam! Night Sorrow did not use his ultimate skill or spear art, but he still sent Ning Ziyuan flying. The Reincarnation Halberd had been strengthened by the Divine King's Spear and the Ancestral Phoenix's Feather. It was no longer comparable to an ordinary Divine Lord weapon. What? He's so strong. That's impossible. He just advanced to the high god level. How can he be so strong? Ning Ziyuan, who had been sent flying by Yi Shang's one move and was injured, had an extremely ugly expression. He knew that Yi Shang had not used any of his ultimate techniques at all. He had only relied on the strength of his body to make him suffer. After pondering for a moment, Ning Ziyuan locked his gaze onto Night Sorrow's Heavenly Samsara Halberd and thought to himself, "It should be because this halberd is too heaven-defying. Yes, that must be it. But how can I restrain this halberd? Don't hold back and use your ultimate technique. Otherwise, you won't have another chance to attack." Night Sorrow said. He knew that the Samsara Halberd had become much more powerful after his successful attack. However, the fact that he could injure Ning Ziyuan was due to his own strength. Even though he had just become a high god, he was definitely stronger than Ning Ziyuan, who was ranked around 20 on the feather gods list. He still needed to make some preparations to deal with Meng Du. He didn't want to waste too much time. In the square of Tianqing Gate, Meng Yi, who was watching the battle between Night Sorrow and Ning Ziyuan, looked very gloomy. When he saw Night Sorrow trapped in the array, he thought that Night Sorrow would not be able to escape. He did not expect that not only did Night Sorrow break out of the array easily, but he also had an obvious advantage in the battle. Even though they had only exchanged blows once, Meng Yi could tell that Ning Ziyuan was no match for Night Sorrow. This meant that if nothing unexpected happened, Ning Ziyuan from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion would be the first participant to be eliminated in the deity group. Night Sorrow would temporarily be ranked first in the deity group because no one else had encountered him. Bastard! I personally sent him to the first place in the deity group. This is a great humiliation. Meng Yi gritted his teeth in anger as he stared coldly at the screen. Yan Zhifei, who was standing beside him, was deeply hurt. He had mixed feelings when he saw that Night Sorrow, who had participated in the Feather Gods group, was still able to do so easily in the deity group. Ha ha ha. Meng Yi, thank you so much for the gift from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. Tianyun School, will temporarily be ranked first in the deity group. Lu Qingyuan teased when he saw Meng Yi's unhappy expression. Meng Yi was furious, but he didn't know how to respond. Lu Qingyuan continued to laugh. Now you're sitting down and not talking. Are you going to say whatever you want when you're kneeling down? He was referring to the bet they had just made. Humph. Meng Yi snorted coldly and still didn't speak. In the end, the 7-sex tournament was still about results. From the looks of it, Night Sorrow from Tianyun School was obviously suppressing Ning Ziyuan from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. Whatever he said would be futile. Yan Zhifei, now you know that you're a frog at the bottom of a well? Ho Qingshan, who had been beaten up by Yan Zhifei, asked when he noticed that Yan Zhifei's expression was ugly. Ho Qingshan smiled when he thought of Yan Zhifei's arrogance in the past and compared it to now. It's none of your business. Loser. Yan Zhifei, who was already in a bad mood, said coldly. Haha, I'm second in the 7-sex tournament? What's your rank? Ho Qingshan asked with a smile. Qingshan, don't talk about Zhifei in the future. No matter what, he's my nephew. At this time, Lu Qingyuan stopped him. Hearing this, Yan Zhifei was so angry that his expression became even worse. He turned his head and looked at the video of the battle between Night Sorrow and Ning Ziyuan. At this time, Night Sorrow had completely suppressed Ning Ziyuan. From the beginning to the end, he didn't use any combat skills or spear arts. Ning Ziyuan, who was getting more and more frightened, had already used all his means. He was best at setting up formations, not fighting. Ning Ziyuan's face was ashen as he was sent flying by Night Sorrow once more. Although he was extremely unwilling, he still took out the teleportation crystal from his spatial magical item and prepared to crush it. At this time, Night Sorrow said, If you cooperate with me, I'll let you go this time. What is it? Ning Ziyuan, will not do anything that will harm the Heavenly Martial Pavilion. Hearing that there was a chance for a turn for the better, Ning Ziyuan was looking forward to it even though he sounded tough. He guessed that if he was eliminated now, he would probably be ranked last. No one could bear this kind of humiliation. It's simple. Lure Meng Du into the formation that I've set up. Night Sorrow, who was pointing the Samsara halberd at Ning Ziyuan, said word by word. If the signal could attract the masters from the Tianyun School, the Heavenly Star Pavilion, or the Heavenly Immortal Sect, Night Sorrow would work together to deal with Meng Du. Otherwise, he was prepared to trap Meng Du in the spirit design and then consider whether he should fight him or just trap him like that. Hearing this, Ning Ziyuan's face turned pale. He said coldly, Night Sorrow, we both have image crystals. How can I agree to your request in this situation? I choose to give up on this competition. Since you don't want to, I can only attack you. Night Sorrow, who knew that Ning Ziyuan wouldn't agree to this, suddenly used the unique skill that he had learned from the Divine King. Green Rock Soul-Splitting Roar. The Green Rock Soul-Splitting Roar could attack a cultivator's divine soul. Ning Ziyuan, who was attacked, suddenly felt his divine soul tremble. He was obviously distracted. The moment Ning Ziyuan was distracted, Night Sorrow snatched the teleportation crystal from his hand. What do you want? When Ning Ziyuan came back to his senses, He found that the teleportation crystal was already in Night Sorrow's hand. He was so scared that he couldn't speak coherently. He knew that without the teleportation crystal, he would lose the chance to escape from the secret realm. Chapter 26:01. You used a trapping formation to ambush me. You only have yourself to blame for ending up like this. Night Sorrow snorted coldly. Lure Meng Du into the trap formation I set up. Otherwise you can imagine what will happen to you. Ning Ziyuan, who had his teleportation crystal taken away, said the word I 3 times in a row but did not say anything else. He was already sweating profusely. One could imagine the panic in his heart. What about you? Do you choose to protect yourself or Meng Du? Night Sorrow, who was holding the Samsara halberd, stared at Ning Ziyuan with a cold gaze. Let me think about it. Ning Ziyuan, who responded, was sweating profusely. Clearly, he was struggling in his heart. Bastard! Night Sorrow, if you dare to harm Ning Ziyuan's life, I, Meng Yi, will kill you immediately when you come out. Seeing Night Sorrow take away Ning Ziyuan's teleportation crystal, Meng Yi, who was sitting on the chair, stood up angrily. Why are you so fierce? Didn't Meng Du of your heavenly martial pavilion also say that you want to kill my sex Night Sorrow? Moreover, it was Ning Ziyuan who used the trap formation to ambush Night Sorrow first. If he had the upper hand, you can imagine who would be in danger now. I can only say that you heavenly martial pavilion brought this upon yourselves. Lu Qingyuan immediately retorted. The 7-sect grand competition was about strength. There was no prohibition against killing. Everything that happened was normal. Humph. Meng Yi, who knew that he was in the wrong, sat down again with a cold snort. His expression was as ugly as it could be. When Meng Yi sat down, Ning Ziyuan finally thought of what to do. After pondering for a while, he closed his eyes and said, Do it. Even if I die, I, Ning Ziyuan, will not betray my fellow sect members. Is this your choice? Night Sorrow asked. Yes. Ning Ziyuan, who said this, sounded very determined. Seeing that you still have some backbone, I will spare your life. However, you can't escape punishment. You people from the Heavenly Martial Pavilion are so aggressive. Today, I will spare your life because I, Night Sorrow, am a virtuous person who cherishes life. After saying that, Night Sorrow said coldly, Use everything you have to exchange for the teleportation crystal. Good. I promise you. Ning Ziyuan, who was already prepared to give up his life, immediately agreed. If he lost the divine artifact and elixir pills, he could still obtain them again. However, if his divine soul was destroyed, he would be done for. Leave your spatial artifacts and your clothes behind, including the bun, Night Sorrow said as he looked at Ning Ziyuan. Ning Ziyuan had planned to trap Night Sorrow and bring Meng Du over. This was no different from taking his life. Although he didn't want to kill, he wouldn't let Ning Ziyuan off so easily. He did this to teach Ning Ziyuan a lesson, and also to slap the Heavenly Martial Pavilion in the face. This was the price they had to pay for provoking Tianyun's school. Night Sorrow knew that many people in the square of Tianqing Gate were watching. What? You're humiliating me. I'd rather die than comply. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Ning Ziyuan's face turned red. He knew that if he took off his clothes now, he would be seen by everyone in the square of Tianqing Gate. Not only would he be humiliated, but his sect would be as well. If you don't comply, then die. Night Sorrow didn't have the mood to talk nonsense with Ning Ziyuan. He raised the Samsara halberd and was ready to attack. He had already done his best. If Ning Ziyuan still didn't accept it, then he would kill him directly. No. I'll do it. Don't do it, don't do it. The Samsara halberd glowed. Ning Ziyuan, who was pretending to be firm, gave in completely. He listened to Night Sorrow and left all his belongings, including his underwear, where he was. Very good. Take the teleportation crystal and use it where you are. Ning Ziyuan cooperated. Night Sorrow handed him the teleportation crystal and didn't give him a chance to hide his shame. In other words, he didn't give the Heavenly Martial Pavilion any cover. Sigh. Ning Ziyuan took the teleportation crystal and sighed. He closed his eyes and teleported out of the Divine Cloud's secret realm. Ning Ziyuan knew that what awaited him was Meng Yi's fury. However, he was already very lucky to be alive. As expected, Ning Ziyuan appeared on the teleportation array naked. Meng Yi's face was as dark as the bottom of a black pot. It looked like he was going to kill Ning Ziyuan with one slap. As for the people from the other sects, they all laughed. At this moment, the deity group ranking on the square changed for the first time. Individual ranking. First place, Night Sorrow, 15 points. Sect ranking. First place, Tianyun School, 15 points. Haha. Great. Night Sorrow has made a good start. This is great. The Divine King, Zhuangqing, who was hiding in Lu Qingyuan's spatial artifact, was the first to cheer. Ever since Mu Baiyu, Tianyun School hadn't taken the lead in the 7-sex competition for many years. This time, not only did they win the Feather God group, but they also temporarily took the lead in the deity group. As the Grand Elder of Tianyun School, he was in a good mood. As long as Night Sorrow is given time, he will make everyone in the realm of gods look at him in a different light. Lu Qingyuan said emotionally. If Night Sorrow came from the other sex, he would definitely feel despair about the future. The other sex should be the ones feeling despair about the future. The only thing Tianyun School needed to do was to protect Night Sorrow's safety and allow him to rise smoothly like Tianai. Maybe it's already very lively outside? However, what will surprise you even more is yet to come. Night Sorrow, who had sent out the signal, didn't get a response until now. He realized that he was far away from the other sex, so he decided to deal with Meng Du himself. According to Night Sorrow's estimation, although he had a strong foundation, his strength was definitely weaker than a peak-high god like Meng Du. However, if he fought in a trap array that could weaken a cultivator's strength, he might have a chance to win. Even if he couldn't win, he could use the array to escape and leave Meng Du alone in the array. After that, Night Sorrow changed into Ning Ziyuan's robes and changed his appearance to Ning Ziyuan's. He then set up a trap array. This time, Night Sorrow used Ning Ziyuan's Feather Dragon Slaying Sword as the eye of the array. In terms of aura, Meng Du definitely wouldn't be able to tell. Junior brother Yuan, how's the situation? After waiting for a while, Meng Du's voice sounded from Ning Ziyuan's voice transmission stone. This meant that Meng Du wasn't far from here. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used the voice transmission stone. Night Sorrow is still trapped in the array. He's waiting for senior brother to come and kill him. Night Sorrow imitated Ning Ziyuan's tone. Very good. Ziyuan. After this competition, senior brother will reward you handsomely. Meng Du's voice was filled with joy. About 2 hours later, Meng Du appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Where's Night Sorrow? Before Meng Du arrived, he had already used his divine sense to detect Night Sorrow's aura. He didn't find anything abnormal, so he had already mistaken him as Ning Ziyuan. He's right in front of you. Night Sorrow, who had transformed into Ning Ziyuan, looked at Meng Du and explained. Chapter 2602. Junior Ziyuan, what nonsense are you talking about? I'm asking you, where is Night Sorrow? Meng Du said unhappily when he heard Night Sorrow's words. Until now, he had not noticed that the Ning Ziyuan in front of him was a fake. Meng Du, aren't you looking for me everywhere? I'm right here. Yi Shang, who had changed his appearance and voice back to normal, began to speak. Actually, he had the opportunity to launch a sneak attack on Meng Du. However, given his character, he would not do so. Night Sorrow. It's you. Where's Junior Ziyuan? Meng Du asked furiously when he saw that the person in front of him was Night Sorrow. I've already sent your Junior Ziyuan out of the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. You're next. When Night Sorrow said this, he released some flames from the Green Phoenix battle armor and burned Ning Ziyuan's clothes, returning him to his original appearance. His battle intent had already soared to the sky. Ha ha ha. Night Sorrow, should I say that you're blindly arrogant or blindly arrogant? Meng Du laughed out loud when he saw Night Sorrow's battle intent. He did not even put his opponent in his eyes. Meng Du. Between us, we'll only know who's blindly arrogant after a battle. Night Sorrow sneered. The trap array that he had personally set up could reduce the strength and speed of a Sir God by 40%. It should be the same for Meng Du, haha. Alright, I'll let you die knowing. Meng Du sneered and took out his heavenly martial soul refining spear. This spear was a replica of the heavenly martial soul refining spear and was a monarch-grade divine weapon. Initially, he had been thinking about the heavenly martial soul refining spear. However, Knight Sorrow had merged it into the heavenly samsara halberd. This was the main reason why he hated Knight Sorrow so much. We still don't know who will live and who will die. Facing Meng Du, who was ranked second, Knight Sorrow's aura soared to the sky. He did not seem weak at all. Since that's the case, you can die. Knight Sorrow did not launch a sneak attack. As Meng Du spoke, he suddenly used the Qianwu Fighting Soul Spear to stab Knight Sorrow's dantian. This spear was powerful and heavy. Furthermore, it was extremely fast. However, under Knight Sorrow's eyes of the Sea Serpent Dragon, it was obviously slowed down. He lifted the heavenly samsara halberd and slammed it forward. Boom! As the two of them collided, they both retreated more than 100 steps. A crack appeared on Meng Du's heavenly martial battle soul spear. What's going on? I can only unleash 60% of my strength. Could it be that he was inside a formation? No wonder an ant like him dares to fight me. The moment he attacked, Meng Du understood what was going on. Meng Yi, who was watching from Tianqing Gate, saw that Knight Sorrow and Meng Yi were evenly matched. His heart was in his throat. He was really afraid that Meng Du would be eliminated by Knight Sorrow. If Meng Du City was defeated by Knight Sorrow, the Sky Martial Pavilion would definitely be ranked last in the God group. Haha! Are you scared now? Knight Sorrow has just become a supreme god. In the future, he will be able to suppress the Sky Martial Pavilion. Lu Qingyuan, who had been suppressed for a long time, mocked Meng Yi once again. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. I don't think Knight Sorrow will be able to grow up smoothly. Meng Yi's face darkened. His words were no different from a threat. Haha! Are you plotting against Knight Sorrow? Tan Qingfeng from Tianqing Gate thinks the same way too. Look at him. Look at how obedient he is now. Lu Qingyuan replied disdainfully after hearing Meng Yi's threat. Let's wait and see. Meng Yi, who was watching the video, did not say anything else. At the same time, everyone in the Tianqing Gate Square was focused on the battle between Knight Sorrow and Meng Du. They did not expect that Knight Sorrow, who had just become a supreme god, would be able to challenge Meng Du, who was second only to Wu Li. Waves of emotion surged in their hearts. The gate master of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, had the most complicated expression. Combined with the incident with Lord Qingyin, he was already regretting targeting Tianyun's school. Knight Sorrow's speed of growth had made him, the gate master, feel endless pressure. He was afraid that he would be punished in the future. At this moment, he no longer cared about the ancestral phoenix feather in Knight Sorrow's hands. Many disciples of the Tianyun clan who were watching the battle were greatly encouraged as a sense of pride welled up in their hearts. As for Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoxue and the others, it was needless to say. Although you are despicable and shameless to trick me into entering the array, I, Meng Du, have to admit that Knight Sorrow is a peerless genius. Meng Du, who had already fought a few rounds with Knight Sorrow and used his ultimate techniques, was still unable to defeat Knight Sorrow. He praised coldly and said with killing intent, "However today, I, Meng Du, will kill a genius with my own hands. You will die without a doubt." Berserk Battle Technique. After speaking, Meng Du roared towards the sky and increased his strength rapidly in the array. After using the Berserk Battle Technique, Meng Du's body grew bigger. He was almost twice as tall and the muscles on his body looked as though they were made of molten iron. After the transformation, Meng Du's battle intent expanded as though it was going to destroy the heavens and earth. Do you think you are the only one who knows a secret technique that can increase one's strength? Knowing that Meng Du wanted to fight to the death, Knight Sorrow didn't back down and used the Treastrimsa battle technique, increasing his strength tenfold. Although he wasn't sure how much Meng Du's strength had increased, Knight Sorrow was getting more and more confident. Meng Du's strength wasn't as unparalleled as he had imagined. Go to hell! Heavenly Martial Soul Splitting Spear. The Heavenly Martial Soul Refining Spear in Meng Du's hand had almost doubled in size. The power of his spear was extremely ferocious. A spear art that attacks the divine soul. The moment Meng Du attacked, Knight Sorrow felt a reaction from his divine soul. Earth-shattering roar. In an instant, Knight Sorrow used the Samsara strike with the Samsara halberd as a response. At the same time, He used the green rock soul-splitting roar that Zhuang Qing, the Divine King, had taught him. He had used the first move of the green rock soul-splitting roar. The Samsara halberd had almost completely neutralized the power of the heavenly martial soul-splitting spear. However, the first move of the green rock soul-splitting roar, earth-shattering roar, had severely injured Meng Du. He felt that his divine soul had almost been shattered. However, Night Sorrow's attack wouldn't stop there. While Meng Du was in a daze, he continued to roar. Second roar, earth-shattering roar. This move was something that Night Sorrow could only use after he had used the Treastrimsa battle technique. After roaring, Night Sorrow felt a little weak and his divine soul was trembling. He immediately took out an elixir and consumed it to recover. 1. Meng Du, who was hit by Night Sorrow's roar, had suffered severe injuries to his divine soul and was in a rather bad state. This is a good chance. Let's fight. Third move of the green rock soul-splitting roar. Third roar, Samsara break. Seeing that the effect was good, Night Sorrow gritted his teeth and used the ultimate move of the green rock soul-splitting roar. The reason why this move was called Samsara break was because it could directly shatter a cultivator's spirit sea. After Night Sorrow roared, Meng Du's divine soul was exceptionally strong and his spirit sea wasn't shattered. However, he had completely lost the ability to resist. End it. Raging flames subduing demons. Without any hesitation, Night Sorrow used the Samsara halberd and used the ancestral phoenix's feather to strengthen the raging flame subduing demons. Chapter 2603. The sky changed color, but it wasn't just the sky that changed color. In the square of Tianqing Gate, everyone who was watching the video was stunned by the scene before them. Everyone's expressions changed. Even the people from Tianyun School didn't expect Night Sorrow to be able to suppress Meng Du. Lu Qingyuan opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he couldn't think of the right words. Si Kongxiang and Mei Ruoxue looked at each other. Both of them were shocked. After all, Night Sorrow was only a feather god on the way here. Seeing that he could defeat Meng Du, who was ranked 4th on the divine list, they were shocked. Ho Qingshan shook his head and said, "This is what it means to be a dominator. He is different from us. He is indeed different. He is a legend that we can only look up to," Yan Zhang said with deep feelings. Although he took advantage of the array, being able to set up an array is also a kind of strength. Night Sorrow is good. With him around, our Tianyun School will have no worries about the future. Elder Zhuang Qing, who was in Lu Qingyuan's spatial device, felt a sense of accomplishment when he saw that Night Sorrow had defeated Meng Du with the green rock soul-splitting roar that he had taught him. Elder Zhuang is right. However, Night Sorrow has shocked the 7 sects too much. I am afraid that they will do something strange. Lu Qingyuan, who was worried, sent a telepathic message to the Divine King, Zhuang Qing. What you said makes sense. We must be careful on the way back. Zhuang Qing nodded. Night Sorrow had shown so much potential that even he didn't have the confidence to protect him. After a long while he sighed and said, "This is the path that a peerless genius must take. Although the path ahead is full of obstacles, I believe that Night Sorrow will be able to walk all the way to the end. He will become a true dominator." Haha. Elder Lu, look at Meng Yi's expression. Ho Qingshan reminded Lu Qingyuan with a smile. What? Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan turned around and looked at the heavenly martial pavilion. Meng Yi, who had witnessed Night Sorrow suppressing Meng Du, was in a daze. Tears started to roll down his cheeks. The leader of the heavenly martial pavilion actually cried when Meng Du was about to be killed. Elder Meng, are you all right? Yan Zhifei asked when he saw Meng Yi crying. I'm fine. Meng Yi pretended to be fine, but his voice was hoarse. When he looked at Night Sorrow again, his eyes were blurred and were completely filled with intense hatred. Qingyuan, when Night Sorrow comes out, you must be wary of this Meng Yi. I can see that he obviously has bad intentions. He has the same surname as Meng Du, so he might be from the same family. Yes. Elder Zhuang, Qingyuan understands. Lu Qingyuan nodded in response and stopped teasing Meng Yi. He could see that Meng Yi was on the verge of exploding. He thought to himself, Night Sorrow, your brilliance has overshadowed all the other geniuses in the Cloud Celestial continent. This is both a good and bad thing. I'm afraid that you will become the enemy of the whole world. Yi Shan's rise was like a comet. This would definitely bring a lot of pressure to the people of the other sections. Danger would definitely follow the rise of fame. Knight Sorrow, who was in the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, did not consider this problem at all. He thought that whoever wanted to deal with him would be his enemy, regardless of whether he was ranked first or second. Meng Du, didn't you want to kill me and spend 20 points to buy my whereabouts? I'll tell you where I am. Shouldn't you pay me 20 points? Knight Sorrow looked at Meng Du, who was burning with inferno demons, and asked coldly. Knight Sorrow, you will die a horrible death. The heavenly Samsara halberd had been strengthened by the ancestral phoenix's feather. The inferno demons had the ability to burn a cultivator's soul. Meng Du, who was being burned by the inferno demons, kept rolling on the ground and cursing. However, it was useless. He did not have the ability to turn over. You wanted to kill me. Now I will kill you. This is very fair. Meng Du did not even have the ability to crush the teleportation crystal. Knight Sorrow did not let him continue to struggle in the flames. He pierced his dantian with his spear. Killing was just a matter of time. He did not have the hobby of torturing people. After ending Meng Du's life, Knight Sorrow kept all the spoils of war in his spatial artifact. Then, he consumed an elixir in the trapping array and recovered. About 4 hours later, Knight Sorrow carried the heavenly Samsara halberd on his back and rushed to the other regions. The first day was not over yet. He walked aimlessly, thinking that wherever he went, he would go. At the Tianqing Gate Square, Meng Yi's eyes were shedding tears of blood. In fact, Meng Du was his biological son. His only son was killed by Knight Sorrow. The resentment in his heart had reached its peak. As long as he had the chance, he would not hesitate to attack Knight Sorrow. Lu Qingyuan, from today onwards, my heavenly martial pavilion will fight to the death with your Tianyun school. After a long silence, Meng Yi said with a hoarse voice. Facing Meng Yi's threat, Lu Qingyuan snorted. Meng Du wanted to kill Knight Sorrow. It is very fair that he was killed by him. To put it bluntly, he deserved it. If your heavenly martial pavilion becomes enemies with my Tianyun school because of this, then I, the Tianyun school, will accept it. Whether it is Knight Sorrow or Tianyun school, they will all pay the price for this. Otherwise, I will not let this matter rest. Meng Yi threatened with a murderous aura. Then he left the square. This place had become a place of sorrow for him. Yan Jifei and the other members of the Heavenly Martial Pavilion saw Meng Yi leave angrily. They sat there awkwardly, not knowing what to do. On the first day of the 7-sect Grand Tournament, the Heavenly Martial Pavilion had already lost 2 people, including the strongest Meng Du this time. The Heavenly Martial Pavilion might end up at the bottom. After this incident, the 7-sect Grand Competition's God Group rankings changed once again. Knight Sorrow, who had killed Meng Du, who was ranked second, had obtained 34 points. His points had increased from 16 to 50. Tianyun School and Knight Sorrow were both ranked first with 50 points. The other people's points had not changed at all. Knight Sorrow, who had killed Ning Ziyuan and Meng Du, had already secured a spot in the top 16 even if he crushed the teleportation crystal and left the tournament. The many spectators who were staring at the scoreboard felt as if there were raging waves in their hearts. They couldn't calm down at all. Knight Sorrow, who was ranked 35th, had successfully killed Meng Du, who was ranked second. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. After a short moment of silence, everyone in the square began to discuss this matter. Some of the Tianqing Gate disciples who hated Knight Sorrow because of Wuyo still hated Knight Sorrow, but they had to admit that he was an extremely terrifying enemy. As for Si Kongxiang's people, they had almost run out of words of praise. Even Mei Ruoxue, who worshipped Mu Baiyu, felt that Knight Sorrow's achievements might be greater than Mu Baiyu's in the future. Everyone in the square discussed this matter for about an hour before their attention was attracted by another matter. Chapter 2604. Hua Yun Miao of the Soaring Heaven sect encountered a half-step divine king realm soul-devouring beast on the first day of entering the immortal cloud-sealed realm. He was killed on the spot and didn't even have time to crush the transfer crystal in his hand. He was a super expert ranked as the 5th seed. Cruel. In this 7-sex tournament, the God group gave off an extremely cruel feeling. On the first day, People saw the second-place Meng Du and the fifth-place Hua Yun Miao being killed. Moreover, these two experts didn't even have the chance to crush the transfer crystal. In comparison, the Feather God Group's competition was like playing house. Many disciples of the seven sects were worried for the geniuses of their respective sects, afraid that they would follow in the footsteps of Meng Du and Hua Yun Miao. After all, if even top high gods like them died, everyone else was at risk of being killed. Someone else encountered it. An hour after Hua Yun Miao was killed, two images appeared on the square. The female cultivator of the Tianyun school, Yan Fengfei, and Qi Bin of the Soaring Heaven sect met in a desert. Yan Fengfei was ranked 25th. Qi Bin of the Soaring Heaven sect was ranked 17th. In terms of strength, Qi Bin definitely had the advantage. Seeing the two meet, Lu Qingyuan and the others of the Tianyun school all stood up worriedly. However, the result of the duel was very unexpected. Qi Bin had the advantage, but he was accidentally killed by Yan Fengfei's sword. He didn't even have the chance to crush the transfer crystal. How could this be? Could it be that our Tianyun school was really blessed by luck? Seeing Yan Fengfei kill Qi Bin with his own eyes, Lu Qingyuan revealed a look of disbelief. Why do I feel that their battle is a bit strange? Senior sister Yan has no chance of winning. As a woman, Mei Ruoshue's thoughts were more meticulous. She felt that something was wrong. Ruoshue, you noticed it too? Lu Qingyuan looked at Mei Ruoshue, who was frowning. Yes. I feel that Qi Bin is deliberately seeking death. Mei Ruoshue nodded. Now that you mention it, I also had the same feeling when I was watching. Si Kongxiang looked over and nodded. He also felt that something was amiss. That was because Yan Fengfei, who was at a disadvantage, had already grasped the teleportation crystal in her hand. She was about to give up, but she suddenly won in a daze. Even she herself was puzzled. Soaring Heaven sect isn't plotting something, is it? Yan Zheng asked doubtfully. I think it's possible. After all, Soaring Heaven sect's people are likely to have colluded with some evil creatures. There may even be spies from the heavenly demon race among them. Lu Qingyuan said, Si Kongxiang, Mei Ruoshue, Yan Zheng. Each of you keep an eye on the other three from Soaring Heaven sect. If there are any abnormalities, inform me immediately. After the dust had settled on this matter, the seven sect grand tournament's God group rankings changed once again. Individual ranking. First place. Night Sorrow, 50 points. In the individual ranking, the second place was Yan Fengfei, with 19 points. Tianyun School ranked first, with 69 points. As for the other sects and individuals, their points remained the same. Haha. In this year's God group competition, my Tianyun School will definitely not be at the bottom. We might even get a very good ranking. The current points were very advantageous for Tianyun School. As the team leader, Lu Qingyuan felt a lot more confident. The other members of the Tianyun clan also felt proud and elated. At this time, the remaining 32 people in the Immortal Cloud-sealed world finally welcomed the end of the first day. Night Sorrow, who happened to be at the edge, noticed that the outermost area was gradually being swallowed by a strong darkness. Not wanting to be eliminated by the darkness, he hurriedly fled in the opposite direction. After flying for 50,000 kilometers, the darkness finally stopped. It seems that the chances of everyone encountering each other have increased by many times. Calculating from the surroundings, the range of the Immortal Cloud-sealed world would be reduced by a lot. Night Sorrow judged that the probability of everyone encountering each other would increase exponentially. Stopping, he released the prepared signal and waited for the others to respond. However, the remaining range of the Immortal Cloud-sealed world might still be a little large. Night Sorrow did not receive any news from the others and continued on his way. He continued to walk towards the inner part of the Immortal Cloud-sealed world. After walking for about 20,000 kilometers, Night Sorrow saw a graveyard that was full of vicissitudes. The graveyard was already overgrown with weeds and there was no aura of living beings. However, there were many shining artifacts scattered on the ground. There were Feather God, High God, Monarch God, and even King God artifacts. This isn't an illusion, right? It was very puzzling that there were King God artifacts scattered in the ancient graveyard. Night Sorrow murmured and activated the Eye of the Sea Serpent. Using the Eye of the Sea Serpent, he realized that the light emitted by these artifacts disappeared instantly. Instead, it was replaced by some rusty pieces of scrap metal. So it's a lie. If I'm greedy and walk into this graveyard, I'm afraid nothing good will come out of it. Night Sorrow, who had seen through the lie, turned around and prepared to leave immediately. Young friend, can you listen to me? At that moment, a hunchbacked old man in old clothes crawled out of a grave mound in the graveyard. His clothes were obviously not the current style. There was a broken black sword in his chest. Although the black sword was broken, it had pierced through his chest. What's the matter? Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the old man with the eye of the sea serpent. Night Sorrow was surprised to find that the old man was still alive. Moreover, he could not see through his cultivation level. Young friend, can you help me pull out this black sword? The hunchbacked old man pointed at the black sword in his chest and pleaded. King God Broken Sword? Tell me who you are first. Night Sorrow asked cautiously. The old man had a King God Broken Sword in his chest, which meant that he had most likely fought with the Divine King. To be able to survive a battle with a Divine King, he should at least be a Divine King. It's a long story. My name is Xian Dongqing. I'm usually called Dongqing Divine King. I'm a cultivator from 300 reincarnations ago. At that time, I fought with the soul-devouring beast and some extraterrestrial demons in this area. In the end, we successfully killed the leader of the soul-devouring beast and successfully sealed the Divine King-level extraterrestrial demon. However, I'm the only one left among more than 30 people. I built this graveyard for my companions with my own hands. The hunchbacked old man, Xian Dongqing, said with a sad face. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to speak, he continued. The broken sword in my chest came from that Divine King-level extraterrestrial demon. Being suppressed by it, I can only linger on with my last breath. I can't completely recover, and there's no exit in this world. Is there such a thing? According to what you said, the Divine King-level extraterrestrial demon was only sealed and not killed? Night Sorrow asked worriedly. If there was a Divine King-level extraterrestrial demon in this immortal cloud mystic realm, then all the participants in the competition would be killed. Chapter 2605. That is indeed the case. And according to my judgment, it is not far from breaking the seal. The Holly Divine King sighed and continued, If you can help me remove the broken black sword, I might be able to strengthen the seal after I recover a little. I can help you remove the black sword, but you have to swear to the heavenly Tao that you will not harm the cultivators of the heavenly realm. Night Sorrow had the power of merit and could tell that Divine King Holly Green was telling the truth. However, he still had to be wary of others. He felt that he had to let the old man take the initiative to swear an oath to the heavenly Tao before he could be fully trusted. All right. I, Xian Dongqing, swear that I will never harm the cultivators of the heavenly realm in this life. Otherwise, I am willing to be tortured by the heavenly Tao forever. The Holly Divine King swore to the heavens. If someone tries to harm you first, you can attack. Seeing that the other party was willing to swear to the heavenly Tao, Night Sorrow added, Senior, how can I help you remove the black sword? You are a body of merit that is hard to come by in the 3,000 reincarnations of the heavenly realm. As long as you inject the power of merit into the black sword, it will automatically fly out of my body, the Holly Divine King explained. All right. Night Sorrow heard this and walked into the cemetery. He condensed the power of merit and turned it into a dragon of merit that wrapped around the broken black sword. As soon as the golden power of merit came into contact with the broken black sword, there was a sizzling sound on the sword. Not long after, the broken sword flew out of the Holly Divine King's body and into the sky. Why is Night Sorrow's image suddenly blurry? At this time, the people in the Tianqing Gate Square who were paying attention to Night Sorrow's image were all shocked. Because after Night Sorrow walked into the cemetery, they could not see the image clearly. What's going on? Lu Qingyuan, who was very worried about Night Sorrow's safety, immediately went to look for the deputy gate master of the Tianqing Gate, Liang Shijun. I'm not sure either. Maybe he accidentally entered some space. Some spaces can block the image crystal. The leader of Tianqing Gate, Tan Qingfeng, no longer wanted to target Tianyun's school. Under his instructions, Liang Shijun's attitude towards Lu Qingyuan had improved. There's such a thing. Hearing this, Lu Qingyuan immediately became nervous. However, at this time, Si Kongxiang suddenly transmitted a message to him. Elder Lu, Night Sorrow has reappeared. He seems to be fine. I'm relieved. I don't know what happened just now. Lu Qingyuan said with some lingering fear. In the mausoleum, Night Sorrow used his power of virtue to disperse the black broken sword on the Holly Divine King's body. The Holly Divine King fell to the ground weakly. After feeding him a few pills, he put him into his spatial artifact, allowing him to quickly recover his strength in a time acceleration of 100 times. He followed the direction pointed out by the other party, and moved towards the place where the Divine King was sealed. The two of them prepared to strengthen the seal of the Divine King to prevent it from causing a catastrophe. The other high gods of the 7 sects, who were completely unaware of this, began to increase the frequency of their encounters on this day. 3 days later, Night Sorrow was still on the road. Among the cultivators of the 7 sects, there had already been 10 battles, big and small. Among them, a total of 7 people were completely eliminated. Among them was Zhou Qian of Tianyun School, who was ranked 33rd. Although she was defeated, she crushed the transmission crystal in time and successfully returned to the transmission array of Tianqing Gate. The others were the remaining 3 people from Soaring Heaven Sect, 1 from Heavenly Star Pavilion, 1 from Heavenly Immortal Sect, and 1 from Heavenly Martial Pavilion. The 5 people from Soaring Heaven Sect were all eliminated in a few days. This was obviously a bit strange, and many people began to talk about it. As for Heavenly Martial Sect, they were completely unlucky. They didn't get a single point, and only 2 of the weaker ones were left. This time, their results were estimated to be only slightly better than the strange Soaring Heaven Sect. So far, a total of 8 high gods and 5 sects had obtained points. Among them, Night Sorrow with 50 points and Tianyun School with 69 points were still ranked first. Wu Li, who was listed as the first seed, eliminated 2 people in a row and rose to 32 points, ranking second. Murong Kai Yi of Heavenly Immortal Sect defeated 1 person and obtained 26 points, ranking third. She defeated the second strongest person of Soaring Heaven Sect, after Hua Yun Miao, who was ranked 10th, Qin Wu Mian. Ranked 4th to 7th were Zhuang Yuha of Heavenly Star Pavilion, Yan Fengfei of Tianyun School, Zhang Yudi of Tianqing Gate, and Tianxian School's Wan Zhenhai. Apart from Night Sorrow and Yan Fengfei, those who obtained points were all top-ranked masters. Tianyun School was ranked first, Tianxian School was second, Heavenly Immortal Sect was third, Heavenly Star Pavilion was fourth, and Tianqing Gate was fifth. Senior, how much longer do we need to reach the place where the Heavenly Demon is sealed? After flying for a few days, Night Sorrow still hadn't reached the place where the Heavenly Demon was sealed, so he asked doubtfully. Although the matter of sealing the Heavenly Demon was very important, he also needed to find opponents to obtain points. After all, the 7 sect great competition was still going on. Probably 2 more days. It's been too long, and the terrain has changed a bit, but I can sense its aura, so we're definitely heading in the right direction. The Holly Divine King, who was still recovering his strength in Night Sorrow's space artifact, replied. Up until now, he had only recovered the strength of a mid-level high god, and his combat strength was not even as good as Night Sorrow's. 2 days of delay in exchange for everyone's safety. It can be considered a merit. Night Sorrow nodded. He walked the path of merit, so he naturally wouldn't sit back and do nothing when encountering such a thing. After flying for another day, Night Sorrow, who had activated the sea serpent dragon's eye, avoided several strange beasts and flew straight towards the place where the Heavenly Demon was sealed. At this time, they were already very close to the place where the Heavenly Demon was sealed. Even Night Sorrow could feel the aura of the Heavenly Demon in the void, so he immediately sped up, wanting to reach the place where the Heavenly Demon was sealed as soon as possible. However, just as Night Sorrow sped up, he saw a figure on the left in front of him, also flying towards the place where the Heavenly Demon was sealed. Soaring Heaven Sect's clothes. He's from Soaring Heaven Sect. Could it be that he wants to release the Heavenly Demon? Using the sea serpent dragon's eye to see the clothes of the other party, Night Sorrow had an ominous premonition in his heart. He thought of Qing Yangzi, who brought the Heavenly Demon with him. He felt that there must be a reason why someone from Soaring Heaven Sect was flying towards the place where the Heavenly Demon was sealed. Stop! Night Sorrow, who would rather believe it than not, immediately shouted. Hearing the shout, the Soaring Heaven Sect cultivator, who had not noticed Night Sorrow, immediately sped up and flew forward desperately. Void Extreme Shadow Body. Seeing that the soaring heavens sect high god did not stop at all, Night Sorrow immediately used his movement skill and chased after him. After about an hour, Night Sorrow successfully caught up with the other party. Who are you from Soaring Heavens sect? Why do you keep flying in this direction? After stopping the other party, Night Sorrow observed him with the sea serpent dragon's eye and asked, I am Qin Wumian. You must be Night Sorrow, right? Qin Wumian, who was not as fast as Night Sorrow, stopped and looked at Night Sorrow with a cold face, saying, You shouldn't have chased after me. Really? Night Sorrow asked with a sneer. He did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. The spectators at the Tianqing Gate Square all exclaimed. They clearly saw Qin Wumian being defeated by Murong Cai and killed without even using the transfer crystal. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.